Hello, folks, and welcome back to twitch.tv/games with Nick. We are gonna continue our playthrough of 999. So, the story so far, we are prisoner of this sadistic game, Saw-like, where we're on a boat, and the boat is gonna sink in 9 hours. Um, and we have bombs inside of us, and we have to complete escape rooms to move forward, but we also don't know who to trust. Where we left it off last time, we did reach one of the endings of the game, the so-called submarine ending, where everybody dies. And then we went back a little bit and made a different choice to go through. One thematic that we've been developing is maybe Zero is one of us. And if so, well, who is it and what did they do to Snake? But we also learned that Snake doesn't have as a fake left arm. So the body that we found in the shower is actually not Snake. Yeah, and that's sort of where we pick it up. Junpei, Clover, and Lotus slept out of the laboratory, slamming the door shut behind them.
Whew, thank God we got out of there.
Yeah, finally.
Oh, yeah.
All three collapsed against the wall, breathing heavily. Junpei's heart was pounding in his chest, and his whole body felt weak. He inhaled gulps of clear air, and with each one, he could feel his body begin to calm down.
All right, let's go.
Okay.
They nodded to each other and started off down the hallway. Before long, they found a few new doors, but all of them were locked.
Damn, none of these open. They're all locked.
How about that one?
The final door sat in the corner of the hallway.
Let's hope this is the door with the prize.
Junpei grabbed the door handle and was about to pull it open when a voice cried out behind him. It was neither Clover nor Lotus, but he recognized it. There was no doubt the voice belonged to
Jumpy!
Huh?
He spun around. There, at the other end of the hall, Junpei saw human figures running towards him. 3 of them.
June? Santa! 7!
They stopped short in front of Junpei and his companions, gasping for air.
Hey, what are you guys doing here? What? But we didn't...
Before he could finish, Clover spoke.
Hey guys! Could you come take a look at this?
She was standing near the end of a small hallway that branched off to the right. The rest of them ran over to her, curious as to what she'd found.
Hey, on the wall. A map of the ship's interior?
It says C deck.
So it's the map for this floor then?
Door 7 and... Door 8. Yep, they both eventually end up at this hallway.
In fact,
Yeah, isn't that what I said? We aren't going to be split up permanently till we find door 9. We might get separated for a little while, but we'll see each other again. Otherwise, we won't be able to open door 9. That's how the nonary game works.
Junpei looked at the map of the ship's interior again.
Wait a sec. This leads to...
As he looked more closely, surprise and excitement gave way to weariness.
Oh.
You've got to be kidding me.
One by one, the others saw what he'd seen.
We may as well go.
Yeah.
As one, they all moved back toward the door Junpei had only a moment to go, being ready to open.
Oh, almost forgot. We should keep this.
He pulled the map of the ship's interior off the wall and put it in his pocket and followed the others. The 6 of them stood in front of the door, arrayed in a semicircle. Santa stepped forward, took hold of the door and spoke without looking back at the other 5.
Ready? I'm gonna open it.
They nodded their silent assent. With a deep breath, Santa threw open the door. They poured through the doorway and into the room. Even without looking around, each one of them knew where they were.
I knew it.
They were just where the map had said they would be,
We're back.
back in the hospital room.
In the hospital room.
I see. I believe I understand what you're saying. The 6 of you split into 2 teams and went through doors 7 and 8. You solved the puzzles in the operating room and the laboratory, and then met one another in the hallway after opening your respective locked doors.
He looked like anyone might, after only just waking up, but it seemed that his brain was working as well as ever. He had managed to grasp, summarize, and understand each team's report.
At any rate, I feel a bit silly for my little show of altruism. I know I said I was sure you'd come back for me. I didn't think it would happen so soon, though.
Ace shook his head with a rueful smile.
Well, we saw each other again and we ain't dead, so I say that's good enough.
7 smiled.
Anyway, I say we get out of this creepy old place. We found the key we need.
The key?
Ain't that what I just said? I'm talking about the Jupiter key. We found it in the operating room. Here.
7 tossed something small and metallic toward Junpei.
Whoa.
Nice catch.
Jeez.
He caught it and found that the object was a key.
I see. So this is Jupiter.
On it, someone had engraved a symbol very similar to it before. He looked over at June, who nodded back. It had to be the Jupiter symbol.
I'm gonna let you hold on to that, alright?
Yeah, on it.
Well, I've got something for you too then. Here, it's the Saturn key card. We found it in the kitchen. I might lose it. It's probably better if you hold on to it. That way it won't be my fault if it gets lost.
Yeah, on it.
And with that, she pressed it into Junpei's hand. And slightly less than honored.
So how many unused keys do we have now?
There's the Earth key we found in the laboratory. The Jupiter key you just gave me. And the Saturn key card from Lotus. I'll keep them safe.
Junpei tugged the new keys into his pocket. June spoke up.
The Jupiter key is supposed to be for the door at the end of that long, straight hallway, right?
Yeah. If the map's right, then it connects to the central staircase. Then, next to the stairs...
Wait!
They were the first word anyone heard of Clover in some time. Her face suggested they weren't going to be very happy words.
What about door 3?
Look, you saw the map, right? It's the same as 7 and 8. It just lead us back to the big hospital room. There's no point to seeing what's on the other side of that door.
There is a point. At least there is for me.
There were tears in her eyes, but she glared at 7 as hard as she could just the same. She looked very much like a frightened puppy. There wasn't a man alive who could have resisted those eyes. 7 looked everywhere in the room except at Clover and muttered and coughed apologies under his breath.
Yeah, you're right, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Snake might be on the other side of door 3.
Clover nodded once. The next person to speak was Ace.
Very well, I'll be coming with you then. I've had a nice long rest. I think it's time I was up and about again. So 7, you'll help me, won't you?
Huh? Me?
Junpei did the calculations quickly in his head. 4 plus 1 plus 7 is 12, 1 plus 2 is 3. It looked like 7 was doing them too. At last, he gave up.
Damn. Well, I guess that's how it's gotta be. So I'm going with you, huh?
Yes, you are.
Alright, let's get moving.
And so it was decided that Clover, Ace, and 7 would discover what lay beyond door 3.
Okay, we're heading out.
Be careful.
Whoa. Didn't think I'd be hearing that from you, Lotus.
Don't let it go to your head. I'd be in trouble if the 3 of you bought it. The rest of us can't open the 9 door.
Ah, the truth comes out.
7 nodded as if this answer made much more sense and pulled the lever on the red.
Okay, we're off.
The door opened and Ace, Clover, and 7 jumped through it. After exactly 9 seconds, the door closed noisy.
All right, we should get moving too.
Huh?
Get moving.
Where are we going?
Everyone except Lotus seemed rather confused.
Well, it would be a waste of time to just sit around, wouldn't it? Let me explain.
Oh, I get it. We're gonna see if we can get anywhere interesting with the Jupiter key.
Yes. If we're lucky, we might find Snake.
They were at the end of the hallway lined by individual hospital rooms.
And here's the Jupiter symbol on the keyhole.
All right, Junpei, open it if you please.
Yeah, on it.
Junpei pulled the Jupiter key out of his pocket and slid it into the keyhole. He twisted. With a nice sharp click, he felt the door unlock. Junpei sucked in a breath and opened the door as quietly as he could. Instead was exactly what he expected to see from the map of the ship's interior. They were in a tremendous hall, almost like a ballroom, with a massive central staircase.
Great, back to the beginning. You sure this is a good idea?
What do you mean?
Well, we already searched every inch of this room, didn't we? I'm asking you if there's any reason we came back here.
Of course there's a reason.
Of course there's a reason. Man, sometimes I can't tell if you're smart or just lucky.
Huh?
This.
Junpei pulled two things out of his pockets.
The Saturn key card. And the Earth key? I'm lost.
Then the cocked his head to one side like an inquisitive bird and looked at them. After several long moments during which it became apparent that Santa had no idea what the cards meant, June took pity on him.
Don't you remember, Santa? On C deck, where we are now, there was a big elevator behind the stairs, remember? And next to the elevator, there was a card reader with the Saturn symbol on it. And on A deck, on the door to the left, there was a keyhole with the Earth symbol on it, I think. So the two keys that Jumpy has?
Should let us use the elevator and the door on A deck. Huh.
Yes, that's right.
June smiled, pleased with herself. So did Santa.
All right, I got it. Let's get started then. What do you say we split into two teams? Lotus and I will search the Earth one, so you two can search Saturn, all right?
Sounds good. Then you guys should take this key.
Junpei handed the Earth key to Santa. They decided their initial search should be brief.
We have no idea what's on the other side of these. So don't go too far. Just search for 10 minutes and come back.
When decided, the two teams split up. Not split it up, that's a typo. Junpei and June headed for the elevators.
There's a card reader next to the left elevator.
Then let's try out the Saturn key card.
A light on the upper left corner blinked to life.
Great! It looks like it's working now.
All right, now how do I call the elevator?
There was a single button to the right of the elevator door.
Oh, it only has the upside-down triangle on it.
I guess there's no up button. Well, we may as well try pushing this one.
The door slid shut and they heard the grinding of the motor as the elevator car moved down.
It opened! Look, Jumpy!
June's voice was excited, but Junpei could hear a tinge of anxiety.
Sweet! It opened! Let's get going.
He grinned at June and stepped toward the open door. As he was about to set foot in it, he felt a hand on his arm.
Wait!
What?
I'm not really, I just, oh gosh.
Junpei was at something of a loss. What could she possibly be so frightened of? June was probably afraid of... They could only go down. She was afraid because the only elevator button pointed down. That meant, of course, that the elevator couldn't go any higher than the floor they were on. As he thought about it, Junpei realized he hadn't seen elevators on the A or B decks near the central staircase. All of which meant that the elevator could only convey them to the lower decks.
Come to think of it, the lower floor, D deck, is completely underwater. An elevator heading to a submerged floor. That is pretty scary. Hey, wait a minute. This elevator came up from somewhere under us, right?
Well, yes, I guess it did. It didn't open right away after you pressed the button. There was a motor noise like it was moving, and then it opened.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So, take a look inside.
Junpei jerked his head toward the interior of the elevator.
It's not wet at all, is it? The walls and even the floor are totally dry.
Oh, you're right. They are.
She looked around the elevator, slightly embarrassed.
Well, let's test it.
Tested.
Yeah, watch this. Now, I'll just put one foot inside the elevator and look over at the buttons. Oh, there's only two, E and C. All right, I'll push E.
He pushed the E button and jumped out of the elevator. The door slid shut and they heard the grinding of the motor as the elevator car moved down.
I think I can hear it opening on E deck.
Okay, that's done. Now I'll just press the button again.
A few moments later, the elevator returned.
Yep, not a single drop of water to be seen. See?
Junpei couldn't resist buffing out his chest just a little bit. June, however, still looked confused.
What does that mean? How can E deck be safe if the D deck is full of water?
Well, here's what I think. The elevator shaft and E deck must be watertight and separated from wherever the ship's been punctured. Here, let me show you.
Pulled out his notebook and pen and sketched out a rough illustration.
I see. So is that why the ship hasn't sunk? The shape of the inside keeps it all from filling with water?
Yeah, I think that's what's going on.
Junpei continued talking as he closed the notebook and slipped it back into his pocket.
So I'm gonna go down and check it out. You stay here, or...
But...
Come on, just do it, alright?
He gave June's shoulder a reassuring squeeze, then hopped onto the elevator. He pushed the E button, and the door began to close. June looked worried, her eyes darting back and forth as if she was trying to make a decision, and suddenly...
I'm coming with you!
Huh?
At the last possible moment, June dashed forward, turning sideways just in time to slip through the gap between the closing doors.
Hey, wait!
Junpei jammed his fingers against the open button, but it was too late.
Oh, crap, it closed!
The door had shut, he and June were in the elevator, and he was headed down to E deck. He was so surprised by June, he didn't even have time to think about what awaited him on E deck.
I can't just let you go alone, you know.
Ah, jeez.
The elevator stopped, and the door slid open. He tentatively stepped out and looked around.
It looks normal.
No fish going about their fishy business, or jellyfish floating lazily through the water. There was, however, a blowfish, or at least something that looked very much like one. June's cheeks were puffed out in her mouth a tiny, intense frown.
Oh, knock it off. It's just like I thought. This part hasn't flooded. Come on, just look around. There's no water here.
June looked around nervously, then exhaled.
You're right. It's not flooded at all.
See?
But there's a whole lot of water.
Yeah, right on top of us.
What's gonna happen if the ceiling breaks?
Junpei thought about that for a moment.
We'd probably die.
Oh no. Don't be so casual about something like that.
At any rate, we should probably go back as soon as we can, once we're done looking around down here. Lotus and Santa might already be back.
Okay, good idea.
Now then...
Junpei glanced around the room they'd found themselves in. First thing he noticed was a set of thick iron bars. They ran the length of the room, separating the left elevator from the right one.
Iron bars. Well, we can't go over there.
Right.
Then maybe...
In the corner of the room that housed the elevators, Junpei found an opening.
Well,
He walked up to it and stuck his head around the corner.
it looks like there's a long straight hallway down this way.
Something's written on the door at the end. Wait, is that...
Let's check.
Junpei and June set up down the hallway at a brisk clip, somewhere between a run and a jog. Before long, they found themselves in front of the door. On it was a number written in bright red paint. 6.
I knew it!
This is a numbered door!
And indeed, there was a red bolted to the wall right next to the door.
But we can't do anything with only the two of us.
We better head back and let everyone know.
Yes.
Junpei and June turned and headed back to the sea deck.
Wait, what's this?
On their way back, Junpei noticed the map on the wall.
Is this the map for E-Deck? I should take it with me. Huh, so you guys found door 1.
They'd met back up with Santa and Lotus, who'd explain what they'd found. Apparently, there was another numbered door on A deck, just like the one on E deck. Beyond the door, the Earth key opened. According to Santa and Lotus, there was a 1 on the door.
So now we've located 2 new doors. The 6 door and the 1 door.
You know, it is interesting that E-Deck wasn't flooded.
Lotus was quiet for a moment, lost in thought.
Well, we don't really know if all of E-Deck is safe. We only checked the area around the elevator.
Even so, it's still very interesting.
You said the 6th door was there, right?
Yes.
Then that means Zero planned all this out, even the sinking. That would have meant some pretty serious remodeling of the ship's interior.
It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
Yeah. I wonder how long it took. I can't even imagine how much it must have cost.
It would have been a ton, that's for sure.
Well, that does go along with what Ace was saying. The most reasonable explanation would be that this was done by some organization with access to a whole lot of cash.
Yes, it does make sense.
That thought made them all go quiet for a moment. June bit her lip while Lotus sighed softly for herself, but Santa cracked a stiff neck and stared off into the distance at nothing.
Yeah?
I don't think it's a very good idea to stay here.
June looked up at Junpei with large, bleeding eyes.
Yeah, you're right. Ace and his team might be back already.
Well, June, Junpei, and I should be able to open door 1.
Huh? You guys leaving me behind?
8 plus 6 plus 5 is 19, which is 10, which is 1.
Just kidding. All right, let's go.
Lotus's words were all the impetus they needed. Back to the large hospital room they went. The moment they stepped inside, a tremendous voice echoed across the room.
Hey! Where the hell did you guys go?
It was 7.
7?
Ace was right behind him, and Clover was behind Ace, although she seemed to be hanging back.
What's wrong?
It looked as though there was something strange about them. 7 had the look of a man who'd seen a ghost. Ace was just as pale, and Clover looked as though she was only moments from passing out entirely. For a long moment, they simply stood there, looking at one another. Junpei looked around nervously, waiting for someone else to speak. No one did. They looked at 7.
What happened?
What the hell kind of question is that?
7 was trying very hard to be angry, but something had shaken him. Hard. His shoulders were trembling, and his voice was strained.
Snake is...
7 couldn't finish. He just looked away, his face twisted by. Junpei wasn't sure what. Instead, Ace spoke. He took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and spoke.
Snake is dead. He died, just as the 9th man did.
It was as if all the air had suddenly been sucked out of the room. Junpei felt his heartbeat quicken, and he realized he was having trouble breathing. He could feel a cold sweat beating on his forehead and neck. June, Santa, and Lotus looked the way he felt. All 3 were frozen in place, their faces white.
Oh my god. That's not true, is it?
We should make sure.
Yeah, right. We should.
They nodded to one another and headed for the number 3 door.
Wait! Not that way.
What? Why not?
They stopped short and turned to look at 7. He was pointing at a door with no number.
I stuck a screwdriver in there to keep the door from closing all the way. It's not locked, so you can go in that way.
Where is he?
The shower room. The left side of the hallway. I put a broom in there too to keep the door open.
That means we can get in without going through the numbered door, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Then let's go.
Their new destination clear, Junpei and his companions headed for the door with no number. Once in the hallway, it was easy to spot the metal door on the left wall.
This wasn't open when we passed here before.
But now, just as Seven had said, there was a broom stuck between the door and the frame, keeping it open.
Well, let's keep going.
He looked at it for a moment, then stepped inside.
Oh, it smells horrible.
Liz wrinkled her nose and covered her mouth in disgust. Even Santa pinched his nose shut.
Ugh, yeah, this is pretty awful. I feel like I'm gonna puke.
It was just as bad as they said, perhaps worse. A hideous smell filled the air, so Digby could almost taste it. It was sour and smelled of fish, feces, and burnt meat. It worked its way through Junpei's nose and down his throat to pound against the entrance to his stomach.
Ooh.
He put his hands over his mouth and struggled to keep what little was in his stomach where it belonged.
Where is he? Where's Snake?
They didn't have to wonder where the body was.
There.
There was blood everywhere, a few arms of the splatter reaching toward them as they walked in through the door. All one had to do was follow the many radial arms to their source. The body itself was hidden behind the divider.
June, you should stay here.
But
Please, just do me a favor, okay? Alright?
He didn't give her a chance to say no. He put his hand on her shoulder and, as if to shove her into the ground like a tent pole, turned and walked toward the end of the divider.
I'm going in.
It felt like it took an eternity for him to get there. Santa and Lotus followed, timid and nervous as a pair of children. Eventually, they reached the divider. They looked at one another and nodded slowly. Junpei put his hands on the divider and peered around the corner. For a moment, he forgot to breathe. He felt his heart collapse in his chest like an empty cigarette carton, and time froze. He knew in that instant that he would take the image before him to the grave. What was left of the body sat in a sea of blood. Chunks of flesh torn from the body, set in the blood like tiny islands in a great red sea. A vast ragged hole had been torn in Thor's torso. What remained of his intestines spilled out of it like fresh spaghetti. Smaller chunks of meat had splattered against the wall and became stuck there as they dried. Globules of yellowish fat left trails like tiny slugs as gravity pulled them down the wall, even as they dried to it.
Just like Ace said.
Santa's voice was strained. Junpei suspected he was holding down some vomit of his own.
Just like the ninth man. The detonator in his bracelet set off the bomb in his gut.
It looked as though the explosion had been quite powerful.
Oh god. The bone is coming out of his left arm.
It's definitely an open fracture.
His legs were both bent in an odd, natural way, and his left arm had split open, exposing the painfully white bone of his own arm. His bracelet lay next to him. It seemed to have hit the wall hard enough to have shattered the display, which lay on the ground in pieces.
Oh, the face. It's horrible.
Yeah, you can't even tell who it is.
Half of his head had simply collapsed. The blood coating almost made it look like raw pizza dough covered in tomato sauce. His clothes, too, were covered in blood. The burgundy tie, the white shirt, the jacket with the yellow piping, and gray slacks.
But the clothes are...
They were all familiar to Junpei.
No mistake about it. It's Snake.
Well, Snake's clothes, at least. Lotus's voice was unnaturally deep and strained, and Junpei heard it catch in her throat. The school of torture battle made Junpei's teeth curl. It sounded like the noise of a ghost would make. No matter how many times he heard it, he never got used to it. Every time it put him on edge. It didn't help that there was a girl nearby who looked far actually, where he went through all this. Blah blah blah. Of course he was. It was obvious.
But I don't...
Zero was somewhere on the ship, but Junpei had no idea where. Junpei mumbled to himself, lost in thought.
Where could Zero be hiding?
Suddenly, everyone went very quiet. The silence was cold and clammy, and Junpei could feel it crawling across his back and around his throat. Again, he heard the ghostly moaning noise. And moments later, a person who looked more ghost than human appeared. Here's one of us. Well, that's possible. If only to save some time. Blah 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 blah. We went through all of this last time. I need to move, blah blah blah.
Maybe you and June should check it out first and then report back to us.
All right, let's go, June.
Right. Here it is.
Its cell bolted to the wall near the stairs that led to the casino and the kitchen between the two elevators.
The Mercury card reader.
We're using the card 7 gave us, right?
Yeah,
I found it when we were checking out the shower room.
I think 7 said something like that. Anyway, let's see what happens.
Junpei slid the card through the reader. The light on the reader turned green and had tiny electronic notes.
I guess the elevator works now.
Jumpy, I know it's only the two of us, but let's do our best.
What's with you all of a sudden?
Well, I'm happy we were put together.
You know it's just for searching E-Deck, right?
Even so, I'm glad I'm with you.
Oh. First, we need to find out if the elevator comes up full of water.
Just like we did before.
Oh, here it is.
I knew it. It's not wet at all.
Let's go.
Yes.
Once it had been checked for water, Junpei and June stepped into the elevator.
Look! Nearly all of the buttons are destroyed.
Yeah, only the seat and bottom button can be pushed.
We're on C deck right now, so the only one we can choose is bottom.
Yeah. Well, let's try it out.
Junpei had the button. The door closed. Slowly they began to move downward.
Oh, so this is the bottom deck.
They stepped off and saw that the hallway to their right ended somewhere between 20 and 25 feet from them. The hallway in front of them was a dead end. But not a regular dead end.
Hey, over there.
This is a numbered door.
This is the 8th one we found. There were 2 numbered doors on B deck near the central staircase. They were doors 4 and 5. 3 more in the large hospital room, doors 3, 7, and 8.
And the door we found on E deck, and the door Lotus and Santa found on A deck. It was a 6 on the door on E deck, and a 1 on the door on A deck.
4, 5, 3, 7, 8, 6, 1. And now there were 2 stood in front of Junpei.
That means...
Do you think the next door we find?
Yeah, I think so. The next one's gonna be door 9.
I mean, nobody's saying that there's only one door of each kind, but I guess the title kind of implies it. Despite himself, Junpei felt excited. There was something about that excitement that frightened him as well.
Finally!
Yeah,
You don't look very happy about it, though.
it's not that. I just hope nothing goes wrong.
You're right. We should keep our fingers crossed.
Let's head back.
Okay.
He did his best to put it from his mind and headed back to see that with June.
1, 2, 3, 4. All right, 7 pieces.
Pieces of paper that folded up lay on the ground next to Junpei's legs. Everyone had written on paper pulled from Junpei's notebook in an effort to pull together a blind book.
Just double checking, but everyone wrote their code name and a door number they want, right?
Yes, just like you told us earlier.
Can't believe we're voting here.
Why had they decided to vote that way?
We need to make the whole thing fair, blah-de-blah. This is a complicated plan, you know. Hurry it up, Mr. I have a brilliant idea.
They decided it was unfair to simply ask everyone at once. They would allow people to force others to go through certain doors.
Yeah, quiet in the peanut gallery.
And he had a plan. It wasn't a plan he wanted anyone catching wind of, however, so it is best to act calm as he began to open and read the pieces of paper.
All right, let's open these up. The first one says, Ace requests door 1.
Yes, I do. Would you like me to explain why?
No, we don't have time for that. Sorry. Let's keep going.
Open the second one.
Next is Santa. He wants door 6.
Yeah, that's what I wrote.
Junpei continue with the third, fourth, and fifth pieces of paper.
Clover wants 1, Lotus wants 2, and 7 also wants 2.
Wait a minute. There is no way I'm going anywhere with the Elephant Man.
No, there'd be no point to the voting if we let people change their choices because of stuff like that.
But
Just give it up, Lotus. It's not like I want to hang out with some exhibitionist grandma.
I am not an exhibitionist. I'm wearing clothes.
How are you wearing clothes?
Barely.
So, last I checked, that's not a crime.
Maybe. But what about common decency? Nobody wants to have to look at a chick who looks like a half-naked raisin.
Oh boy,
Oh, I'm gonna kill you!
you're asking for it, Seven. Lotus's hair flared out like the mane of an angry lion, and she roared with a voice that shook the walls. Oh, not good, says Ace.
Let go! Let go of me! I'm killing him!
With some difficulty, Ace managed to restrain her.
Junpei, read the rest.
Right.
Junpei tore his eyes away and looked down at the sixth piece of paper. He opened it.
June wants door 6.
Yes, I don't really have a reason. I just felt like it.
All the papers save Junpei's had been read. He did some quick calculation and then said,
So this was everyone's vote. Ace and Clover requested door 1.
There was the door on the A deck near the central staircase.
7 and Lotus requested door 2.
This was the door on the bottom deck and could be reached by taking the elevator to the bottom of the ship.
Santa and June requested door 6.
This was the door on E deck and could be reached by taking the elevator near the central staircase down.
Then the door I should choose is...
It took him less than a second to run the numbers. He opened a 7 piece of paper and spoke.
Okay, the last one is mine. I want to go through...
So, if you look at the possibilities, we're going to do door 2 right now.
My choice is door 2.
Simply because this is the one we're already done that only leads to one possible ending. We're going to read through this until we actually get to the escape room, and then we're going to reload and get back here. Santa wasn't convinced.
Hey, wait a minute there. You cheating?
Cheating?
I'm asking if you changed your number after you heard what doors we wanted.
How could I do that? I wrote it down on the paper earlier.
Let me see that.
Sure, here.
Junpei shrugged and handed it to him. Tent examined it furiously. The others peered at it as well. As they did, Junpei quickly slipped the piece of paper he had been hiding into his pocket. Although he had never known it now, Santa had been justified in his suspicions. Junpei had switched papers.
I had 3 pieces of paper ready,
For doors 1, 2, and 6.
and I put the one with door 6 on it into the pot.
He put a small mark on it so that he would know which one was his.
I just needed to make sure I drew last. After I saw everyone else's result, I just chose whatever door I wanted. If the number I'd already put in matched, then I didn't have to switch the paper out. Well, what does it say?
He fought the urge to smirk.
You got lucky.
Santa snorted and tossed the paper aside, frustrated.
Alright. So we know who's going through door 2. That'd be me, Lotus, and Junpei.
10 plus 8 plus 5 is 20.
Only problem's the other 2 teams.
June and I want door 6.
Clover and I choose door 1.
That's not good. We can't open either of those doors with only 2 people.
Everyone was silent. Then suddenly Clover spoke, her face blank and cold.
Why don't Santa and June go into door 1 with Ace?
Huh?
Well,
They looked at one another. 3 plus 6 plus 1 is 10, 1 plus 1 is 0. Finally, I spoke.
Then what will you do, Clover?
I'll be waiting at the stairs. You guys are coming back here, right? That's what 7 was saying, wasn't it?
That had been what 7 said.
We aren't going to be split up permanently till we find door 9. We might get separated for a little while, but we'll see each other again. Otherwise, we won't be able to open door 9. That's how the nonary game works.
I'm sorry, but I just want to be by myself for a while. You understand, right?
There was some emotion on her face, but it was drawn and pale, and her eyes were red. No one had the heart to contradict her. The room grew very quiet. Silence drifted down over everything like a blanket of fresh snow. It was Santa who finally spoke.
All right, I'm going through door 1. That all right with you, June?
Yes.
June nodded.
Well, we'll be going then.
Let's move too.
Yeah.
Right.
And just like that, their paths were set.
I won't see June for a while, but this was my choice. I'm just going to have to suck it up. Seven said we'd all see each other again, and I'm going to believe that.
He took strength from that thought.
The other group went to A deck to go through door 1. Clover joined them. Our group is on our way too. We're heading to the bottom deck using the elevators. I wonder what we'll find down there.
They stepped off the elevator and headed for door 2.
We ready?
Yeah, anytime.
I'll go first.
One by one, they put their palms onto the recognition device, and as 3 asterisks blinked to life on its screen.
Let's go.
The door opened, and they left inside. Alright, and
There
we
it is.
have...
It's right there.
Oh, let's just run this out. Now, we finished this before, and again, there's only one possible ending we can get out of this. So we're gonna jump back in time and choose the door number 6.
1, 2, 3.
Blah, 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 blah.
I want to go through door 6.
Junpei flipped open a piece of paper. It read Junpei, door 6. Of course it did. It written, after all.
That's a problem.
Jun spoke barely above a whisper, but they all knew what she'd said.
None of these teams will be able to go through the doors they want.
Clover and I chose door 1.
Lotus and I chose door 2.
That's not enough people to open a numbered door, however.
The digital routes don't match up either.
We've got similar problems. June, Junpei, and I want to go through door 6. But our digital route is 5. If we're gonna open that door, we need a 1.
Damn, what are we gonna do now?
What are we going to do?
Well, so if Ace comes with us, what's left are Clover, 7, and Lotus. 7 and Lotus are 15, which is 6. Clover is a 4, so they can open door 1. Junpei crossed his arms and did his best to put his thoughts in order. The others followed suit, but with little result. Eventually, Clover broke the silence.
Why don't 7 and Lotus go through door 1? With me.
Her face was cold and flat, as was her voice, but her logic was sound. 7 and Lotus looked at each other. 7 plus 4 is 19, which is 10, which is 1. The first problem resolved, Ace spoke up.
What about me?
Isn't that obvious? Wasn't one of the teams just complaining that they didn't have a 1?
You mean I should join Santa's team?
Yes.
Clover nodded, her face still cold but emotionless. Her attitude and posture could not have been more different than the energetic girl of only a few hours before. No one seemed ready to contradict her. Her response was understandable, given the horrible situation in which she had found herself, but even so...
I understand. I'll go through door 6 then. If we do as Clover has suggested, we can all pass through a numbered door and no one will be left behind. This seems to be the most reasonable solution.
7,
Yep.
Lotus, what do you guys think?
I don't have a problem with it.
Me either.
Alright then, we're good to go.
See you later.
Alligator.
Wait, Clover! Don't move on your own!
Oh, I'll be going too then.
Yeah, be careful.
We should get going as well.
At last, Junpei and the other 6 had managed to separate themselves into 2 teams. Clover 7 and Lotus had headed to A deck, while door 1 was near the main staircase. Junpei, Jun, Ace, and Santa, however, took the elevator to E deck. The ride to E deck was a sad one.
This is E deck.
There should be a door at the end of the hall.
All right, let's go.
Santa's word jolted them to action as they stepped out of the elevator into a long straight hallway. For long, they arrived in front of door 6.
Here it is. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Then let's get to it.
One by one, they put their palms over the red. With a soft electronic noise that authenticated each of them. The door opened. And all at once, the four of them leapt through it.
Hey, I found it! It's right there!
Fortunately, the dead was located easily enough. This one had been placed quite close to the door that entered through. They gathered around it quickly and hurriedly placed their palms on it for authentication one by one.
It stopped.
Yes, it stopped.
The countdown had ceased, but Junpei's heart was still pounding in his chest, like a frantic, thunderous drum. It felt as though it might shake itself up and out of his throat.
Whew. I don't believe I'll ever get used to that.
I'm not sure it's something I'd want to get used to. We should finish this game before imminent death becomes a normal thing.
You got that right. Once I'm out of this hellhole, I'm taking a nice long vacation.
I agree.
With that, the doom and gloom from before was done, and the mood turned somewhat lighter.
All right, let's go.
With that attempt at good humor, Junpei took a deep breath and began to walk. He jogged down the stairs at the end of the hallway and found himself staring at a large door.
This door looks heavy.
But it's not locked. I'm opening it.
He took hold of the bar that served as its doorknob and shoved it down. The room beyond stopped him in his tracks. It was gargantuan and entirely of metal, none of the accents of wood or tile he'd seen in the rest of the ship. This room was purely functional but utterly tremendous.
Whoa, what the hell is this?
Santa could add a few words before awe stilled the rest of them. The rest were too stunned to offer anything more than gasps.
This has to be the biggest room so far. The ceiling is pretty high, too.
Huh. Could be 2 stories. Maybe even more.
This space could be utilizing the entire length of the ship.
What's that huge Kamaboko-looking building in the middle?
Jun pointed to the massive building in the center. I have no clue what a Kamaboko is.
Kamaboko? Well, I guess that's as good of a description of it as any.
Junpei and the others were standing on scaffolding that crisscrossed the whole area. The proper term was catwalk. Junpei thought, although that didn't seem particularly important.
I see stairs, so we may as well head over to them.
Yeah, but this section's barely wide enough to fit one person.
You're right.
Nearby was a long iron staircase that made its way eventually to the floor beneath it.
Whoa, you can't even tell the shape when you're this close.
Let's check out the other side, too.
They moved around toward the opposite side of the massive building, following the catwalk. They hadn't said much as they walked, but as they approached the building, they suddenly spoke up.
This looks to be the steam engine room.
The steam engine room?
Yes, that thing that looks like a cross-section of a mushroom is the boiler. You see the 3 round doors near the bottom? Coal is put into those and burned, which heats the water, producing steam. The same thing that drives a steam engine. This one is simply somewhat larger.
I see.
It doesn't appear to be running right now.
The entire room was as silent as the grave.
All right, let's split up.
Then all of a sudden, Junpei heard a noise behind him. He turned just in time to see Jun collapse to her knees.
Hey, what's wrong? Are you all right?
He dashed toward her and wrapped his arm around her shoulders to steady her.
Hey, June,
It was then that he noticed.
Jumpy.
you... Oh, you're really warm. Is your fever coming back?
Yes. Yes. It probably is. But I'm fine. Please, don't worry about me. I just need to rest. And I'll be fine.
Her voice was weak and forced, and it said a great deal more than her words did.
Okay, here, sit down. Careful.
Junpei carried her to the nearest wall and propped her up against it. She let her head fall back against the wall as if she no longer had the strength to support it and drew a ragged breath.
Thank you.
Her eyes were empty, as if she was having trouble focusing them, and even speaking seemed difficult for her. Junpei felt his hand ball itself into a fist and clenched tight, his knuckles whitening. He had to find a way out, and quickly. He turned and looked at Ace and Santa in turn.
Ace, Santa.
Yes.
Right.
He might not have shared the depth of his emotion, but he certainly shared his concern.
All right, let's get started. Hang in there, June. I'm gonna get you out of here real soon.
She managed a small nod before leaning back to rest her head on the wall. Alright, engine room. It's a square hole. Nothing in here. Ah, look at the back wall there. I can see 3 small slots. Terminals for some sort of connector, perhaps? You mean you think we're supposed to plug something in here? Perhaps. I'd say this is probably here to move coal from place to place. Probably comes from over there. And then the belt carries it down the tunnel and out here. So if the conveyor belt was moving, yes, the coal would almost certainly come out here. Pillar goes toward the ceiling. It looks like there's a door over there in this tunnel. The belt over there must deliver the coal, which is then picked up and thrown into this door. The door appears to be welded shut, however. This gear is rusted, but it looks like it's still pretty sturdy. A golden gear. It doesn't look like it was always golden like this. Well then, I imagine it was prepared especially for this game. So this is where you put coal in the furnace? That's right. I had to look at it earlier, but it's rusted shut, I'm afraid. Perhaps you should check the other side? How do I... Well, let's look at these other things. A huge bronze gear, this has to be important. This is the huge oven for this boiler. There are 3 open areas in it. Each of the open areas has a gear in it. The silver gear. Do you think it's made of pure silver? No way, silver is way too soft to use for a gear. It's gotta be a steel or iron gear that's been coated with silver. Oh, shouldn't have called it a silver gear then. Shouldn't have got your hopes up. Were you thinking you'd haul this thing back? Nah, but I think 7 could probably carry it, don't you? Look, Ace! Some kind of snowman secret meeting. Those are just bags full of sand. Use them as counterweight when you're lifting something with a pulley system. Man, you're too serious. There's bare wooden boxes here. There's nothing in them. What is this? Given its placement, this must unlock the door to the left. There's a weird indentation on top of this thing. You think that means you have to insert something here? Yes, I would imagine so. Oh, this is how we get to the other side. I believe this opening is for fueling the furnace. If we were to put some coal in here and ignite it, then the steam engine might start working. It's certainly possible. Man, this thing is huge. I guess a ship this big needs something like that to power it. True, but I doubt a single boiler of this size could actually move a ship like this at any reasonable speed. You need at least 3, no, 4 of these. Huh, I guess you know a lot about boats, huh? Well, not really, it's just common sense, you know. I feel like I'm... Alright, let's go up. The 3 sliders on the left are down, but this one is up. There are a number of lines engraved in these. I suspect we're meant to do something rather specific with them. Junpei, why don't you move that slider down? Well, there's an arm and trying, I suppose. Nothing. Nothing happened. Maybe it needs to be prepared somehow. You're saying if we did something somewhere else, it'd respond somehow? Yeah, I suppose that's one way of putting it. This is the door we came back. There's another door too. Yeah, it looks like it would be really hard to get there by walking down the scaffolding though, you know? I mean, it's not impossible, it'd be pretty risky. I think maybe we gotta look for a safer route first. One of the doors on the furnace. There's an A on it. There's a circular wheel in the center of the door. Alright, let's give that sucker a twist. Well, it's noisy, but it cracks open. And it's totally pitch black in there. We should go in here. Alright. Let's go. This looks just like the door we went into. Where are we? We must be on the other side, yes? Which would put us directly above the conveyor belt. At any rate, we should keep moving. There's a great deal we get to investigate. So... some stuff about the coal catwalk. They're not gonna go through, so let's go through B to get on the other side. Supports and braces the side of the ship. It's on a ladder. Alright, let's give the wheel a spin. What? That's weird. I don't feel any resistance. Shit. Good job, genius, you broke it. I didn't break it. It broke all by itself. The hand-operated winch. Wheel it once had is now in my hand. Let's see if I can get it back on. There's a couple of posts on the back of which they fits like holes in the winch. Damn, no good. These little shafts are too small for this big hole. It's like throwing a hot dog down a hole, to be honest. Whoa. If that's the case, then who wasn't originally part of this winch? So what was it a part of? I've got the wheel I pulled off the other winch, don't I? Let's see if it fits. Sweet, it's a perfect fit, like they're made for each other. No shaky at all. Good, I should be able to turn this now. Alright. Thing from the rope on the winch. Looks like there's some sort of device in the box. I'm not sure what it is. At any rate, you might as well turn that wheel now. I'm counting on you. Alright, turning the wheel. The wheel only turns to the left. It only turns to the left? That means you can reel up that rope. Yeah, we can only let the rope down. Interesting. I don't think it will be a problem. We simply need to go downstairs after letting the wooden box down. I'll be counting on you, Junpei. Sure thing, no sweat. Oh.
I believe the box has reached the floor.
Yeah.
He stuck his head over to the side, out over the side of the catwalk and looked down. The box that had only recently hung just below the catwalk now sat on the floor. It had come to rest near the end of the tunnel that covered the conveyor belt.
June's down over by there.
Junpei could see her still leaning against the wall as if she barely had the strength to sit up. Even from so far away, it was not difficult to see that she had not improved. He almost thought he could see heat rising from her body.
She doesn't seem to be improving.
Ace's expression was inscrutable, but he'd said what they all been thinking.
Well, of course not. She's not gonna just get better right away, you know? It'll take time.
He tried desperately to convince himself that what he said was true.
What could be causing this, I wonder? Illness, perhaps?
Nah, it's gotta be exhaustion.
Santa's response was confident and certain.
She gets dropped into some weird-ass ship, forced to play some messed-up game. If you think about it, it's a lot weirder that we aren't freaking out just like her, you know?
So you're saying we're abnormal?
Yeah. We're just running around this room, solving all these puzzles like it's just business as usual. How the hell could you call that normal? We're just guinea pigs.
Santa snorted in disgust.
A guinea pig? You mean like a lab rat? You mean we're being used for some sort of experiment? Is that what you're saying?
Dunno. But it does seem like a possibility, you know?
They stood there for a few more minutes, no one speaking, until Senta turned and walked away from the winch. Junpei and Ace followed him.
You know, speaking of experiments,
Senta suddenly stopped.
there was this experiment some scientists did with rats.
Things are about to get weird. Just go with it, because I think it's probably false, but it's a pretty cool setup for the overall plot of the game.
First, they took a squarish C-shaped tank and filled it with enough water that the rats could drown in it. The tank has 2 exits. Just to make it easy, we'll call one A and the other B. Exit A is pitch black, so dark even a rat can't see anything. But exit B is electrified, which means the rat can't leave through it. So, what would a rat do if it was put in this situation? Which exit would the rat choose?
There was a moment of silence after Senta posed the question, and Ace responded.
B, of course. The rat has no way of knowing that exit B is electrified.
Exactly. The rat goes to exit B. Of course, like I said, it's electrified, which means the rat can't get out that way. So, after a lot of trial and error, the rat finally finds exit A.
I can't say that's very interesting or relevant. It's simply the story of a laboratory experiment.
You're right. It isn't very interesting. Yet. See, these scientists repeated this experiment over and over, using hundreds of different rats over several generations. This produced some surprising results. With each generation, the rats took less time to find the correct exit. Eventually, a rat was put in the tank who instantly chose exit A without even attempting to go to exit B. But that wasn't the most impressive part. The same experiment was conducted in another laboratory, far from the original one, with the same results. No, on second thought, the results weren't really the same. The rats in this second experiment began the trials with significantly faster times than the first rats in the initial one. These rats weren't related to the others and had never even come in contact with them. And yet, they all easily found their way to exit A as though they already knew. What did it mean?
Are you suggesting something like telepathy? They were passing information to one another through some undetectable medium?
Ace looked skeptical. Senta snorted at him.
How the hell would I know? I'm not any kind of scientist. I don't know what made him do that. But I do know that story's true. And if you've got another explanation, I'd sure love to hear it. Come on, let's get going. There's still a lot here we haven't checked out. And we gotta get the hell out of here before June passes out.
Without waiting for a response, he turned around and started walking. Junpei, however, wasn't quite ready to leave the topic alone.
Hey, wait. There's something I want to ask you.
What?
Senta stopped and turned around.
Why did they use that tank for the experiment?
Huh?
Well, I mean, it seems like you could conduct the same experiment without the water. They could have just used a dry box, you know? If they needed to motivate the rats to escape, they could have put some bait by exit B or something. I mean, do they really have to make it so the rats can drown?
Senta gave a grim bark of a laugh.
You know, the word emergency comes from the same root as the word emerge. You ever think about that?
Huh?
Well, an emergency is something urgent, often something dangerous. And to emerge means to sort of come out, or appear, or rise out of something else. So what's going to emerge in an emergency? Inspiration.
Inspiration?
Yeah. Think about it. When the chips are down, either you crack or your mind focuses and pulls up what you need.
So in an emergency, your real potential emerges. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. That's why the rats had to drown. They had to be in danger. There had to be an emergency for inspiration to emerge.
Oh.
Junpei suddenly felt cold. The back of his head was aching and his stomach felt strange. Weird story, bro. Through and down. Oh, actually. Pair of boxes here, but nothing there. Here. Get a control panel for something. Might as well just pop it in here. Maybe this hole is where the control panel goes. Well, there's only one way to find out. In you go. Dude, you did it. Everything looks alright. Okay, but what do we need now? Why don't you press the button next to it? The orange one? Yeah. Alright, I'll do that. Push it. Sweet, I'll start slider lighting up on this thing. And, oh yes, I think I just heard something turn on. Oh? What's that? What happened? Junpei, look! The conveyor belt's moving! Conveyor belt? Well, I guess it's done moving now. There's still a bunch of coal in the belt, though. Looks like a bunch of it got dumped off the end of the belt into that wooden box where we found the control panel. Coal. Coal, huh? Since the belt started moving, it's restored quite a bit of coal. Well, drops off in the left box at the end of the belt, right in the wooden box. There's a hole that'll let us put coal into the furnace. Maybe if we can get some coal in there and set it on fire. Okay, let's do it. Alright, that's the last of it. No coal left in the wooden box. And nothing. Great. Well, I guess I should have expected that. What would just throwing coal into a cold furnace do anything? Ah well, a man can dream. Junpei, explain it to me again. You're planning to stroke the furnace with coal, which will heat the water stored up there and make steam, which will then drive something else. Am I correct? In other words, you want to generate enough pressure with the steam to power the turbine. And drive the steam engine, right? Yeah, I guess that's the gist of it. Well, in the case, this isn't enough coal. This furnace is enormous. We're gonna need a whole hell of a lot more coal than this. Very well, the three of us work together and we should manage to kill it much faster. I want to help too. Man, I totally didn't even see her walk up. Are you feeling up to that? Yes. Yeah, right, you look like you're on one stiff breeze away from falling over, June. I think you'd better rest some more, alright? But, no arguing. You need your rest. So you just stay there. We'll handle this. Okay, I understand. Alright, time for some manly work. Let's get coal into these furnaces. Man, this is a lot of work. Alright, I think there should be sufficient. Alright, we just gotta light it. Junpei, hand me your matches. What makes you think I have matches? I see. Then how are we gonna light it? Perhaps there's a device nearby that will allow us to remotely ignite the coal. Let's take a look, shall we? Some sort of ignition device, huh? No? Oh. Blammo. I think it might be. Probably is. I think this is how we might ignite the furnace. That means if we move that thing down... Alright, let's do it. Here we go. Hey, Junpei, Ace, look at this! There's big gears turning under the boiler here. Alright. Gears. They're spinning. Let's start looking. Gold disc. Bronze disc. Silver disc. Now let's go put these in the slots. Maybe you're, I don't know, putting them in the wrong places. Perhaps you have them facing in the wrong directions. Perhaps you should rotate the discs to make some of the lines connect to one another. Well, no harm in trying. Yep. Okay, so we want the gold to the gold, the silver to the silver, the bronze with the bronze. Kinda hard to tell which of these match. I think this is a better match. I really want these red lines to match up. Third lens these discs. I think maybe if I can make a star polygon with these. Alright. We've escaped.
Yes! The door's open!
Given the circumstances, Junpei's happiness was certainly understandable. Ace seemed to share his excitement.
All right, Junpei. Why don't you go get June now? Santa and I will keep an eye on the store.
Santa snorted.
Why do we need to do that? Even if it shuts, we know how to solve the puzzle now. We could just open it again.
Well, I suppose that's true. Shall all three of us go and collect June then?
Nah, I'm cool. I'll let Junpei handle it.
He still seemed irritated by something, however, and sat down on the stairs petulantly.
So are you only interested in being contrary?
Ace sighed with the air of a long-suffering parent.
Alright, I'll go get June. I'll be right back.
He gave a quick nod to Ace and Santa and dashed off down the stairs. For long, he was back on the first floor next to the conveyor belt in June.
Oh, Jumpy!
As he drew closer, she stood up slowly.
Are you okay?
He did his best to sound calm and nonchalant, but there was no hiding the genuine concern in his voice.
Yes, I'm fine now. I'm sorry I made you worry.
June blushed. He wasn't sure if she was embarrassed or still feverish.
Let me check.
Just to make sure, he reached out and put his hand against her forehead.
Good. You're feeling a lot better.
He was feeling far less warm than she had earlier, but she still wasn't down to what seemed normal to him.
Are you sure you're alright?
Yet to be sure. June gave him a look.
Oh, you're such a warrior, Jumpy. Oops, I mean, warrior.
June giggled. He wasn't sure if she just made a joke or not, but seeing her smile again made Junpei feel at ease. If she was well enough to smile and laugh, then she really was feeling much better. He gave her a friendly poke on the forehead.
Alright, let's go.
Go where?
Oh, right. I didn't tell you. We got the exit open, so...
Great! Let's go!
June clasped her hands and nodded urgently. They headed back to the exit, but on their way they found...
Oh, it's...
Santa?
Santa was sitting on the stairs. He was, however, holding something in his right hand and staring at it with a strange expression. Junpei and June slid down and finally stopped in front of him.
What are you looking at?
Santa answered without looking up, his voice quiet.
It's a photo. It's my sister.
Sister? Santa, you've got a sister?
Santa simply nodded.
Yeah. Kid was cute as a button.
June cocked her head, confused.
She was only about an inch tall then?
Santa glared at her.
Oh, sorry. I guess an inch is a little large for a button. Probably more like a half inch.
Santa didn't smile or laugh.
Sorry.
Why are you looking at it?
He simply turned back to his picture and spoke.
I was her Santa Claus.
Wait, what?
This sudden revelation took Junpei by surprise. He had no idea what Santa meant. He glanced at June, who shook her head. She didn't know either.
We didn't have parents. They bought it in an accident when we were still kids. So I had to be like her dad. And that meant that I bought her Christmas presents every year. On Christmas Eve, I'd leave the present next to her pillow. And the next morning, she'd come running into my room with this big smile. Look, look, Santa left me a present. He got me that doll I really wanted. I'm so glad he got my letter. She was always so excited. I was the one who told her to write those letters. I'd say, write down something you want and mail it to Santa. The address I gave her was somewhere in Northern Europe that doesn't exist. Anyway, she'd write the letter and stamp it and send it out. And then a few days later, it'd show up back in our mailbox marked address unknown. I'd open the letters before she figured out they'd been sent back. Once I had the letter, I'd go around to a couple stores with some money I'd saved up over the year and buy her the stuff she'd asked for. It took a lot of saving, but I managed to buy her presents every year.
Huh.
Junpei was silent. He could think of nothing to say.
Huh.
June looked down uncomfortably. The wall next to him suddenly groaned. Either he hadn't heard the sound or didn't care. Santa kept talking.
But one year, her letter was different. She didn't write a list of toys she wanted or anything like that. Instead, It said, "I don't want any presents this year. Instead, I want you to make my wish come true. My wish is that we'll be happy like this for a really, really long time." That was it. Nothing else. But I couldn't make that wish come true. Some Santa I am.
Santa looks sad. Junpei had never seen him look sad before. He wasn't sure he liked it. Junpei decided it was probably best not to ask Santa any more questions. But
What happened?
June glanced up at Santa quickly as she spoke. He answered, but only with an effort.
She died. She was killed 9 years ago.
Oh.
There was nothing Junpei could say. His heart felt like a great lump of lead. June bit her lip and looked away. Her face was pale.
All right, let's go.
Santa stood up suddenly, his downcast demeanor gone. He shoved the picture back in his pocket and headed back up the stairs, taking 2 of them at a time.
Huh?
Junpei and June looked at one another. There was nothing they could think of to say.
Hey, what are you two doing? Let's get moving, come on!
Santa's voice echoed across the room from above them.
Let's go.
Yeah.
They nodded and followed him quickly up the stairs. Ace was waiting for them at the top. He was leaning against a handrail. He looked very tired.
Oh, you're finally back.
The door had shut, but it wasn't cause for concern.
Sorry we took so long.
Junpei quickly solved the disc puzzle a second time and the door opened once again.
Let's go.
Alright, give me just a second. In single file, they walked through. After walking for nearly 15 feet, they found themselves in front of a metal door. It opened easily enough, and they passed through it as well. A new room stretched out before them.
Huh. Is this a warehouse?
No, I believe this is the cargo room. This must be where they store all of this vessel's freight.
It looks like we have another escape room to do before we get to Split.
There are wooden crates everywhere. I wonder how old they are.
Junpei, Ace, and June had stopped unconsciously, pausing to take in their new surroundings. Santa's voice broke through their momentary trance.
Well, we probably ought to start with finding the exit, right? Let's get going.
So my goal for tonight is to get to the 2 endings at the end of this path, I think. There are a bunch of bags here. I wonder what's in them. Oh. Start with the ninth man's face printed on it. What's that? It's a card. It has a headshot on it. A headshot? Yeah, I'm not really sure what purpose this could possibly serve. A box, there's nothing inside. Or with Santa's face printed on it. It's 7. We searched all the boxes, there's nothing in them. Snake. Lover. Ace. There are 3 crates here stacked up like stairs. Climb up, I think you can get over the fence. Junpei, think you could go take a look at that? Sorry, but no thanks. Why? I've got a bad feeling about it. Pussy. Okay, fine, I'll go. Please be careful, Santa. Yeah, but just in case. Wait, what's he gonna do with that screw? I don't see what throwing a screw at a fence is. Holy shit! This, oh man. There's electricity running through that fence. Looks like it. Then we can get to the other side. Well, we could jump off those crates, but we wouldn't be able to get back. Too soon for that. The stairs go up 3 stories. What are you waiting for, Junpei? Whatever, I'm going. Oh. Well, there's 6 holes here. They look like jacks for a headphone cable. Jacks, huh? Then maybe if you put something in them. Yeah, something might happen. The monitor's off. I've got a green switch here and a red one and some kind of lever. None of them seem to do anything though. Maybe the power's off? Yeah, maybe. There's a single green light on at the bottom though. That means... that's the door that came there. Oh, that's actually the exit. But we need a key. I don't know what's in these barrels. Judging by the weight, perhaps a liquid of some sort. Oh, here. Okay. So we have 8, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're missing the Lotus card. Do we open this one? Yeah. Definitely open this one. Greater, smaller. Nothing in the bag anymore. We're clearly missing 1 card. We have nothing here anymore. Nothing here anymore. Jumpy, look at that crate over there. There's something on it, isn't there? Yeah, it looks like a coffin. A coffin? Yeah, it seems kind of weird to find a coffin here, right? As if it's telling us searched here. It's locked. We need the key. All the boxes have numbers on them. Do they? Oh. Ace bent down and picked up something that had been sitting next to the box. Junpei, take a look at this. Cards. Ah, there we go.
Now we finally have all 9 picture cards. We just need to insert these cards into the slots at the front of each box.
Junpei stared at the cards in his hand. Ace peered over his shoulder at them.
You know which card goes in which box, yes?
Junpei gave him a look.
Yeah, of course I do. It's really obvious. You just match our numbers to the numbers, then you pop the corresponding card in the right box. So for instance, the card with the picture of Ace on it goes into box 1. The card with the picture of Snake on it goes into box 2, and so on.
Oh, I see.
Huh? What is it?
Junpei thought he might have imagined it, but he could have sworn Ace stiffened. Just then. Junpei heard the noise. He spun around just in time to see June collapse in front of the fence.
Hey! June, are you okay?
Clearly not. She did not respond. Junpei spun back around to face Ace.
I'm sorry, I gotta go check on her. You finish the box thing, alright? Just put the cards in the boxes. I'm counting on you.
He shoved the cards into Ace's hands and ran off towards June.
Are you alright? What happened?
Junpei called out to her as she ran.
Can you stand?
As you arrived, June was climbing to her feet with Santa's help.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm fine. I just tripped.
Don't give me that. Now is not the time.
But it's true. I tripped over a box.
Just let me see for a sec.
Junpei pulled his palm on her forehead.
Huh.
You're still warm.
Her temperature was much the same as it had been last time we checked. She wasn't hot like she'd been before, but she was still warm. Her fever wasn't completely gone.
I saw her fall. I think she really did just trip on something, you know?
Junpei would have been more willing to breathe if June hadn't needed quite so much help standing up.
Still, to fall down like that? I think she's probably still a little messed up.
June was doing her best to busy herself brushing dust off her dress. Her smile looked a little embarrassed and her face was a bit flushed. But she did look a great deal better than she had. Still,
Alright, well, let's just get out of here as fast as we can so we can get you to a hospital.
Oh, I don't think it's anything that serious. I just need a little medicine and some sleep, and I'll be fine.
Medicine. Medicine, huh? Well, if we could get in touch with anyone outside, I'll bet Ace could swing that for you easy.
Ace? Why?
Huh? Don't you know? He's the president of a pharmaceutical company. Cradle Pharmaceuticals is the name, I think.
dun dun dun! If you played this game before or followed the previous part, Cradle Pharmaceutical is the name of the company that ran that weird experiment with the missing kids 9 years ago. So Ace is the president of that, huh?
Their flagship product is an anesthetic drug called Soparil.
Soparil. Soparil.
Which is what Ace used to inject himself when he fell asleep.
I've heard of that before somewhere.
Junpei couldn't shake the feeling that he'd heard about Soparil before. Then to continued.
Soparil. It's an anesthetic that's a gas at room temperature. A lot like how nitrous oxide is. It takes only a few seconds to spread, and even a small amount is very effective. A bunch of countries quickly accepted it for widespread use within their police and military forces. It was an effective crowd suppressant and room clearer. It was practical, ethical, and the humane nature of it made it the ideal drug. It's been around for about 6 years. They developed it from the extracts of several different roots. It became popular almost as soon as it was made public, with many governments placing large orders. Demand for Soparil skyrocketed, and of course that meant Cradle Pharmaceuticals' stock did too.
Why do you know all of this?
Senta's information was interesting, but Junpei couldn't help but feel a little suspicious. Senta's reply was blunt and simple.
I heard it from the old man himself.
From Ace? When?
By the number 4 door at the central stairway, when we were searching the second-class room. Remember how Snake, 7, and you went to door 5? It was back then. I asked him what he did for a living, and he said he ran his own company. After that, we just started talking, and I guess it just came up, you know?
Huh.
Are you worried about something?
No, nothing.
As he spoke, Junpei looked over toward Ace.
Hmm.
He seemed to be having difficulty with the 9 boxes.
What the hell is he doing?
He turned back to June and Santa.
June, don't push yourself, alright?
Yes.
Santa, could you take care of her? I'll go check on Ace. Looks like he's having trouble.
Sure.
He gave them both a short nod and turned and headed toward Ace.
What are you doing?
Ace's back was to him as Junpei approached. The older man turned around to look at him. His face was pale and covered in sweat.
What happened?
Nothing. My vision has gotten rather blurry, I think, because of fatigue. I can't see very well at the moment.
What can't you see well?
These pictures.
Ace held the cards out to Junpei, splayed out into the shape of a fan.
I don't care to admit it, but I may be developing presbyopia. Growing old is a difficult thing.
Then grab the card and put it right in front of your face. Or, I guess, that's for myopia. Put the card as far away from you as possible and you'll see it properly. He made the best attempt he could at a self-deprecating smile, but his face was flushed and his lips were pale and drawn.
At any rate, I'll leave the rest to you. I'm feeling awfully tired, so if you don't mind, I'd like to rest for a bit.
He shoved the cards in Junpei's hands and walked quickly away. Junpei looked at him quizzically.
How could simply looking at cards have tired him out?
Junpei looked down at the cards in his hands. All the pictures were quite clear and each person easily recognizable. Was Ace's vision truly so bad?
But if it wasn't, what had made him so uncomfortable?
Maybe something about... Oh, that was when Junpei remembered what he'd heard from Lotus much earlier.
Prosopagnosia. Well, put simply, it means a condition where the mind can't distinguish between human faces. In other words, my face would look the same as Clover's or even yours. So they can't remember faces, which is how most people recognize each other. That means that people with prosopagnosia have trouble recognizing even people they're close to.
Maybe he's got prosopagnosia?
Junpei took another look at Ace. Dead at the base of the stairs, looking quite depressed.
Huh. Well, he looks depressed enough to have it.
If he really did have prosopagnosia, there was no doubt it was a depressing and painful experience. Still, Junpei didn't feel like patting him on the shoulder and telling him everything would be alright would help that much. Still, Junpei felt perhaps it was best he keep Ace's condition to himself, at least for the time being.
Oh well.
Doing his best to clear his mind for the task at hand, he turned back toward the boxes.
Time to solve the 9 boxes puzzle.
9 cards with pictures and 9 boxes. Junpei stared at them for a moment and then began.
Ace's card is in box 1, Snake's... I just need to do the same for the rest. And finally, the 9th man's card into box 9.
All 9 box lids propped open at once.
Yeah! Oh, they opened!
He peered inside.
What the?
In each box was a single pin.
9 pins?
They looked a little like sewing pins, but much thicker.
I guess I'll take them with me.
Junpei collected them all quickly and shoved them into his pocket. So, Chekhov's prosopagnosia just took place. What does that mean? I guess we'll have to figure out. There are 6 holes here. It looks like the pins I find would be a perfect fit for them. Ones you find in the 9 boxes, right? Well, why don't you try it? Alright, let's see what happens. Two, 4, and 6 in the top. That's 3, so it's just digital root, you know. Alright. Alright, let's turn on all these lights. So the trick is, you should pair these up, right? If 3 of them add up to 1, the other 3 should make sure to add up to 8. So, to add up to 1, we need to do 10, which we can do via 2, 3, and 5. And then the remaining should add up to 8, which should be 17 with 4, 6, and 7. 2 means 11. So 1, 3, and 7. 7 means 16, which we can do with 2, 6, 8. 3 means 12, which we'll just do 1, 2, 9. 6 means 15. So 15 we need to do 4, 5, 6, for example. And finally, 4 and 5, right? They're 13 and 14. So I can get 14 by doing 1, 6, and 7, and 13 by doing 2, 3, and 8. All lights are on and the shutters opened up. Hey, does that mean... Yeah, we gotta do it again. Man, I thought I was doing so well. Alright, so F is hexadecimal for 15. So everything needs to add up to 15, which is a pain in the butt. Okay, so now, if we put the 5 in the middle, everything needs to add up to 10 on opposite sides. which is easy enough. So if we put the 1 and the 9 here. Now, what's left above the 9 should add up to 6. What's right past the 1 should add up to 14. So I kind of don't really have a choice. I should make this 4. But then this doesn't work. So I don't want to put 1 and 9 in the corner, which means 1 and 9 should go over here. Alright. So if I then do 8 and 2, 8 and 1 is 9, so this should be a 6. 2 and 6 is 8, so this should be a 7. And 8 and 3 is 11, and if we put the 4 here, things should work out. Yep. There we go, all pins inserted, all light lit. We did it, the bar's on now. Alright. Now we have to move boxes. I'm gonna just skip all of the thing. See the coffin of the crates? Don't you want to know what the deal is with it? I do. You want to check it out? Yeah. Alright, how do you think we're gonna get there? Well, there were some crates on the right side of the fence that someone piled up like stairs. Maybe we can do it on the other side. How will we do that? Line up the crates, I guess. Alright, so there's a limited amount of energy, of moves we can have too. $50 moves. Oh, alright. Oh, I hate these puzzles so much. Nope. Alright, so now... Okay. That was probably a mistake. Yes, that was definitely a mistake. Okay. Let's do this again. Start by doing this. All right. We're good. All right, I'm done putting in the program. What do I do next? Just be quiet and watch. See, it's moving already. Awesome. The Bushmaster 5000 did just what I told it to, and line up all the crates. Great, now we can reach the coffin. We just need to climb those crates over by the fence. You mean these crates?
Mummy!
Oh.
Ugh.
Just kidding.
That was a dumb joke. He smirked heartily at his own joke.
Really?
Junpei grumbled and shook his head.
Whatever. Just open it.
Okay.
Junpei resisted the urge to remind Santa that he would have had it open a long time ago if Santa had interrupted and quickly threw off the lid of the coffin. They peered inside. Contrary to what they'd expected, the inside of the coffin was quite large. It was mostly empty, but not completely so. Laying on the bottom was a rusty key.
A small key and
Next to the key.
A gun?
Yeah, a revolver.
It looks pretty old.
I wonder if this is a replica.
Junpei reached down slowly and cautiously picked up the revolver. In his hand, it felt heavy.
This thing is.
He checked the cylinder. There were 6 bullets.
Are these real bullets?
Barrel was rifled and nothing seems to be blocking it. As Ace had said, the gun was a very old one. However, it appeared to have been well maintained. If it was a real gun, Junpei thought it would most likely function perfectly. If it was real.
Oh, if this is real? Oh.
Holding the gun made Junpei feel unpleasant. Carefully, he placed it back in the coffin.
You're not gonna take it?
Of course not. All something like this is gonna do is cause more trouble. It's a powerful weapon that gives one person a huge advantage. Something like that would be way too dangerous to have around. We're in enough danger already.
Yeah, I suppose you're right.
Maybe Zero put this gun here, hoping that something like that might happen. In other words, maybe he put it here to make us fight each other.
You should just
In
shoot
that
all 6
case,
bullets.
We should most certainly leave it here. I, for one, have no desire to let Zero control me.
Me neither.
The others nodded. They had no desire to be under Zero's control either.
Okay, we've got that figured out. But you aren't gonna leave that key in there, are you?
Of course not. We'll take that with us.
Junpei picked up the rusty key and slid the top of the coffin back into place, the gun back where they had found it. Alright, and with the rusty key, we can head out. Let's just put his key in here and yes! Sounds like that did it. Yay! Looks like it's open, Junpei. I see, this key should open this door. Hey, what are we waiting for? Let's go! Oh, I don't mean to. Alright, let me make a quick save. And take a quick bathroom break. And we'll be back in a minute. Alright. The hallway that left the cargo room headed straight toward the stern.
A long hallway, huh?
Let's check it out.
Junpei and the other three proceeded down it silently. Some distance along it, a large room opened up on the left-hand side. It looked familiar. An iron grate covered each of the elevators. Junpei and his companions drew to a stop and began to discuss what their next move should be.
We've seen this elevator before.
We got off the one on the left just a little while ago.
Then we went through the number 6 door, and that took us to the engine room.
Yes, and after that we passed through the cargo room.
And now we're back here.
In other words, we made a loop. We're back where we started.
Well, on the other side of where we started, Junpei approached the elevator.
We needed a card to get to this point.
I don't see a card reader here.
Perhaps we aren't able to activate it from this location.
Why don't you just try pushing the button?
Yeah.
Gently, he pushed the triangular button on the wall. A moment passed.
It works.
The elevator opened and eventually shut again.
I think so.
Pushing the button had apparently restored power to the elevator.
Good. Now we can go back if we need to.
What do? Should we return to C deck?
No, this hallway keeps going. Even if we do end up going back, I think we should see what's down there first.
I agree. Let's go.
Their decision made, Junpei and his companions left the elevator behind and continued down the hallway. Sometime later,
Looks like it ends here.
Santa, who had been walking several paces in front of the rest, suddenly stopped.
Only one door.
He searched around just in case.
There isn't anything else. It's the only way to go.
It was the door or nothing.
All right, let's open it.
Junpei took a deep breath, readied himself, then grabbed the doorknob and pulled the door open. Paused for a moment, then stepped through into the room. And there he saw the number that had hung over their heads since they'd woken up. 9.
The 9 door.
Like the numbers on every other door, this one, too, was a rough shape made of red paint. Its door was set in the back wall of the room. Junpei leapt toward it with a sudden burst of hopeful energy. It was a large double door, heavy and full of solemn importance. Grabbed the door handle and shook.
Of course it wouldn't be that easy.
The red set on the wall next to the door. Displayed on it,
Vacant. Huh. We finally found it.
Junpei felt himself overwhelmed by a torrent of emotion. At last, they'd found the exit, but cold gripped his heart, and he knew all too well why. As he stood frozen, unsure what to think or feel,
Jumpy!
Huh?
Look! Behind you!
spun around, and couldn't believe what he saw.
What? A 9 door. There's another one. Why?
Junpei's voice was barely audible even to himself. He stumbled toward the second door as if somehow compelled. It was a small single door. It sat in the starboard corner of the room on the same wall as the door they entered from, but in the opposite corner.
It's 9, no matter how you look at it. The red is there too. So this is a real one?
Junpei shook the door handle pointlessly and muttered to himself.
Why? Why the hell are there 2 doors?
It was Santa who answered.
There were always 2 doors. I mean, if you think about it, Zero never actually said there was only one door with a 9 on it.
It is hidden, but an exit can be found. Seek a way out. Seek a door that carries a 9.
Of course, we just assumed that there was only one. After all, why would there be more than one?
Oh, man. We fell for it. There are 2 doors. That means that all 9 people who had met at the central staircase could escape. No one would be left behind. Now it makes sense why the bracelets are numbers. 1 through 9. Divided into teams of 4 and 5 people. The digital root of both teams ends up being 9. Take 1278 and 34569 for example. The digital root for both teams would be 9. or 2349 and 15678. The digital route is still 9. There are a bunch of combinations that work, and they all end up the same way. If one team has the digital root of 9, so would the other one. What does that mean? The answer's simple. From the very beginning, the Nonary game was designed to save all 9 people. That's how it was meant to be. Zero didn't lie. He never said there'd be only one 9 door. But anyone who'd found themselves in the game would have assumed that was the case. Fights would have broken out. One team would likely betray or deceive the other. Someone might be hurt. Someone might get killed. But eventually, they'd reach this very same room and realize how pointless all their infighting was. There were 2 doors. There was no need to kill each other.
It was a social experiment game. They'd understand and be appalled, overwhelmed with guilt at what they'd done.
This game was designed for that purpose. This Nonary game. We were all arguing and fighting over doors at the beginning. But if there had been one slip-up, one tiny mistake that led to more, everything could have been so much worse now.
The thought of it sent a chill down his spine.
So, what are we going to do, Junpei?
The voice broke through Junpei's frantic thoughts. Santa's voice.
Hey, keep it together, man.
Sorry.
Jeez. So what do we do?
What do you...
We need to think about our next step.
Our numbers are 1, 3, 5, and 6. That's a digital root of 6.
The 4 of us can't open the number 9 door.
The 4? Wait, don't tell me.
Yep. There's one combination that'll let 3 of us open the 9 door. That's why I'm asking, what now?
What now?
Took him no time at all to determine the answer. There was only one combination of 3 people that would give a digital root of 9. 1, 3, and 5. That would mean
No, we gotta go back.
there wasn't a possibility he was willing to consider. Well, the thought left unsaid was that he would have to leave June behind. Santa and Ace agreed.
Yep.
I agree. We cannot leave June behind.
Junpei let out a breath he hadn't realized had been folded.
Are you sure? I don't mind staying.
June's body betrayed her true feelings. Her eyes were wet with the beginnings of tears and her legs shook.
It's okay. There's no way we'd leave you behind.
Santa had said what Junpei had known the moment he realized which 3 people could go through the door.
Besides, I'd rather drown at the bottom of the ocean than escape with this sausage fest. Maybe I'll get to go to Atlanta.
Are you sure you don't mean Atlantis?
Okay, I was confused for a second.
Oh, right.
Perhaps it was a sudden reassurance that no one wanted to leave June behind, but Junpei laughed harder than he had in some time. Santa and Ace smiled.
You guys.
June blinked tears from her eyes and bit her lip. She didn't seem to know what else to say.
Very well. Best we head back to C-Deck then. We should be able to take the elevator we passed earlier. Perhaps Clover, 7, and Lotus will have returned from door 1.
Even as he spoke, they knew finding the others wouldn't improve the situation.
But even with all 7 of us...
Ace knew it. They all knew it.
Standing around here isn't going to accomplish anything, don't you agree? Let's find the other 3 first, and then search for another solution.
I guess you're right.
All right, let's go.
Ace looked at all 3 of them, then turned and headed through the door.
Yeah.
Okay.
Santa and June followed.
Huh.
Junpei started toward the door, then stopped.
Come to think of it, what is this room?
Didn't seem terribly important now, but what exactly was it?
We were so focused on the doors, we didn't even look around.
A red carpet ran between 2 columns of wooden benches that ran the length of the room.
Huh. It looks like it's set up for some kind of ceremony. But what kind?
Facing the 9 door was a carpet leading to the bow of the ship. And at the end, was it an altar, Perhaps. There was a small rectangular alcove at the end of the carpet, and inside the alcove was a raised platform. Resting on top of the platform was a coffin.
Huh. A coffin? What on earth is a coffin doing in a place like this?
But before Junpei had time to answer that question,
Hey, Junpei, the hell are you doing? Let's move.
Santa's voice echoed in from the hall outside.
Right, okay. I'll be right there.
Junpei turned on his heel and left the quiet, somber room. Oh. Creepy. They took the elevator up to C deck. One stair, they headed back toward the main hall and the central staircase. It didn't take them long.
Look, it's...
Seven and Lotus.
They didn't look happy.
We've got a problem.
Clover is gone.
What?
Junpei and his three companions looked at one another. He turned back to Seven and Lotus.
What do you mean, gone?
Santa, Ace, and June had their own questions to ask.
When?
Why?
You two went into door 1 with Clover, didn't you?
Seven and Lotus responded as best they could.
Yeah, we went through the door together.
But Clover barely spoke to us.
She just did her own thing the whole time.
Huh.
There were 4 rooms on the other side of door 1.
She wouldn't let us into the 4th room.
She just said, I'll take care of this one.
And shut the door.
She must have blocked it with something on the other side.
We waited for a while, but Clover didn't come out.
We called for her, but she didn't answer.
So I kicked down the door and we went into the room.
But
It was empty.
Clover wasn't there.
There was a door on the other wall.
And it was open.
We figure she opened the door and left by herself.
We ran after her, of course, but
Well, obviously we didn't find her. You figured that much out.
Clover's gone.
Junpei thought for a moment.
When did this happen?
We got here just before you.
You certainly have excellent timing.
So you haven't searched anywhere other than near the staircase?
No, we haven't.
Finally, Ace spoke. His voice on an edge of resolve and concern.
Very well then. We'd best separate and look for Clover. We haven't much time left. Let's begin.
Yeah.
There were quick nods all around, and the 6 remaining players spread out. Junpei and June rented a large hospital room together. As quickly as they could, they searched around and under the beds and in the corners.
She's not here.
No, she isn't.
Alright, just in case, we should go take a look in the shower room.
Shower room?
That's where her brother is. She might have gone to see him.
June bit her lip. She knew, as Junpei did, that there was only one thing to see in the shower room, and it wasn't pleasant.
Well, we might as well check, right? Let's go.
There was a screwdriver stuck between the door and the frame.
Good. We can still get in.
We should thank Seven later.
Junpei and June slipped through the door, moved down the hallway, and stepped into the shower room.
No luck.
Yeah, I don't think she's here.
June's voice was faint, and she placed her hands over her mouth. Her face looked a little green.
The smell is horrible.
The stench in the room was almost unbearable. It had grown far more unpleasant since their last visit. If Junpei had eaten a lunch, they would have had difficulty retaining it. He wanted to leave the room as soon as possible, but he had to be sure. And the only way to be sure was to check the other side of the divider.
Let's check the back, just to be sure.
June offered no resistance, and nodded weakly to Junpei as he headed around the divider. He stopped at the corner and turned his head.
No, she's not here.
As he'd expected, Clover was nowhere to be seen. The only thing on the other side of the divider was a dead body, lying in a reddish-brown puddle of drying blood.
Snake, just where did your sister go?
Junpei whispered that to what was once Snake.
Ugh.
He asked rhetorically, of course, as there was no way he'd get an answer. He gave a deep sigh.
Such a horrible way to go. The skull shattered, the left arm's hideously twisted. Huh? Wait.
The bright white of the ulna was clearly visible through the remains of skin and muscle. Bright white. Ulna.
Bones.
The pieces fell into place. Junpei remembered something Clover had told him in the laboratory.
My brother's left arm is, it's not like a normal person's arm. The accident hurt him really bad.
Of course. Of course. Why didn't I realize it earlier?
Clover had told Junpei that Snake's left arm was prosthetic. But the left arm of the corpse behind the divider was quite clearly a real human arm, or at least it had been once. That meant corpse.
Jumpy?
Jun's unsure voice at Junpei's suddenly strange behavior drew his attention back to her.
Oh, sorry for making you wait. Let's go.
Junpei and Jun headed back toward the large hospital room. They stepped through the door and out of the shower room. Down the hallway they went, searching for Clover in every corner. They had reached the stairs when Seven appeared, breathless and yelling.
Junpei! June! Where were you guys?
He looked pale and his face was drawn. Something terrible had happened. Junpei's breath caught in his throat.
Did something happen?
Seven drew a shaking hand across his face and gulped down a breath of air.
Clover is dead. I found her in the first-class bathroom.
All sound ceased for Junpei. The world was an empty, muffled expanse. Then he began to hear his own breathing. Jun's mouth moved, but he heard nothing. She tried once more, and then her energy was gone when she collapsed against the wall. He could have helped her, but he hadn't, and now she was dead. So he stood there, frozen in place.
Clover. Clover, why? Why did this happen?
Forced his body to move. Each step felt like another nail pounded into his heart. Finally, he was in front of her. He knelt and placed 3 fingers against Clover's neck. No pulse. No breath. She was still warm, and her eyes were closed peacefully. It would have been easy to think she was asleep. Easy, that is, were it not for the slowly expanding puddle of blood beneath her. He traced its source to her back, the gash just beneath her shoulder blade. Was the weapon a knife, perhaps? If it was a knife, the killer had taken it when they left. When he closed his eyes, he saw Clover's smile.
Clover!
Her innocent smile. Her energy. He would never see her smile again.
No way.
He could have done something. He could have helped her. His stomach twisted itself into a sickening knot.
Let's get out of here, June.
Junpei lifted a limp June from the floor and carried her from the bathroom.
Are you alright?
It was a foolish question, and he knew it.
Yes. I think so.
Her voice was weak. The fever had gone down, but the emotional scars she'd received were not likely to recede as quickly. Junpei laid his hand on her shoulder as they walked back to the bedroom.
You should get some rest. Here, the bed. Can you sit?
Yes.
She nodded once and stared at the floor. There were 4 others in the room. Ace, Lotus, Santa, and Seven. They all stared at nothing, their faces drawn and tired. After a while, they drifted into the bathroom to see Clover's corpse themselves. Once everyone was back in the bedroom, Junpei walked slowly to the center of it and looked around as the slumped figures gathered there.
Who was the first to find the body?
Me.
Seven spoke from behind Junpei. He turned around. Seven's hand was up.
Why did you come to this room?
To look for Clover. Why else? I found her body in the bathroom. As soon as I did, I ran outside. I got to the top of the stairs by the casino and yelled as loud as I could. Hey, guys! I found her, but it's bad! She's in the bathroom in the first-class cabin! Come quick! Or something like that. Then I went back to the bathroom. Ace, Santa, and Lotus showed up real soon after that. But I guess you two hadn't heard me or something because you didn't show. So I took off down the stairs to look for you. After that, I mean, you know the rest, right?
Junpei nodded and closed his eyes. There was one more thing he needed to ask.
Seven. There's one more thing I'm worried about.
What?
You stuck one of those plates in between the door and the frame, right? Why did you do that?
Come on, didn't I already tell you that? I did it so that the door wouldn't lock, so we could come back to this room? Oh, you think I did it?
Well, I don't know. That kind of depends on what you say, doesn't it?
For crying out loud.
Devin sighed and shook his head.
Follow me.
There were two doors sitting next to one another. He opened the one on the right.
A closet?
Yeah.
Devin stepped inside. He stood in front of one of the shelves that filled it and gestured toward a small box. The box was a small metal cube. He looked at Junpei.
This is the reason. This safe. We couldn't open it when we were getting through this room. I figured there might be something pretty important in it. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I figured eventually we might figure out what the numbers are for the safe. And if we did, I didn't want to screw around with door 5 again. So I put the plate in the exit door so we could get back in that way.
Yeah.
Junpei nodded and looked at the safe. Grabbed the handle and shook it.
Figured it wouldn't open.
It was as locked as it had been when Seven found it.
Huh?
There was one change, however.
This is...
Just underneath the safe was a pile of fine reddish-brown powder.
rust.
Junpei stared at it, considering.
If there's rust here, that means... Has someone opened the safe?
Junpei left the closet. Seven followed him back to the bedroom.
Huh?
It was cold and quiet. No one spoke. They sat frozen in place by shock and grief and fatigue. The room felt tiny and oppressive, and a thick metallic smell of blood filled the room. Junpei turned and headed for the living room. Anything to get out of there.
Maybe there's another clue. Anything that might lead us to discover who stabbed Clover.
Quickly as they could, they searched around and under the beds and in the corners. His eyes caught on the door. Door that led to the passageway of number 7.
Behind this door. The ninth man's body is behind there. Maybe I should have another look at it, just in case.
Quietly, he pushed open the door.
Ugh.
The smell hit him like a blow to the face.
Oh, the hell? This smell is...
His lungs contracted, unwilling to inhale such fetid air. Acid boiled up from the base of his stomach, churning what little food was there into a bowl of froth. It was too much for him, and he vomited. A thin stream of yellow water and bile sputtered onto the floor. He wiped his mouth weakly and stared at the dead body. Chunks of torn flesh lay in an arc around the body. What remained of its intestines had slid out on the floor. The pool of blood that framed it was half dry, but so thick that it had taken on a texture not unlike that of an egg yolk prepared sunny side up. On the floor, next to the broken mass of the man's head, lay his glasses, cracks spidering across the lenses. Bloodstains near them had already dried, like scabs on the floor.
Wait.
It was when he noticed.
It's gone. His bracelet. It's gone. It was right next to the glasses.
But now, it was gone. Number 9 bracelet was gone.
But why?
Had someone taken it? He was turning it over and over in his mind when he heard Seven's voice.
Huh? Where'd Junpei go?
It had drifted out to him from the living room. Junpei walked slowly out of the hallway.
Oh, there you are. Were you looking for something in the hallway?
Seven looked up as Junpei entered the room.
Yeah.
Did you find something?
Sat for a moment before he responded.
No, nothing.
Technically, it wasn't a lie. He hadn't found anything. In a way, in fact, that was the problem. Something he'd expected to find hadn't been there. The ninth man's bracelet.
What's up?
Well, I wanted you to take a look at something.
What is it?
Seven led Junpei back to the bedroom.
Clover.
Clover's corpse came into view. He felt his heart flip and then fall apart, then fall to the bottom of his stomach. Something between a sigh and a groan escaped his lips.
What was it you wanted to show me?
His voice was hollow and empty.
I searched Clover's body again. A real shame. She was stabbed once in the back, probably by a knife or something. And I found this.
As he spoke, he moved around Clover's head, then knelt down and flipped open her right hand.
What?
He was holding a piece of paper.
I haven't actually looked at it yet. Didn't want to disturb the crime scene, you know. Well, I did borrow one thing.
What?
I wasn't sure what that meant, but it likely didn't matter. Paper was more important.
I'm opening it.
Picked it up and carefully opened it. There were 2 sentences written on it.
Truth had gone, and truth had gone. Ah, now truth is asleep in the darkness of the sinister hand.
What is this? Some kind of secret code?
Seven peered over Junpei's shoulder at the note. Junpei stepped away from Clover's body and into the living room. He began to pace, attempting to decode the note.
A code.
The first clue was likely the phrase sinister hand. Sinister hand means left hand.
Sinister was a term used in heraldry that meant to the left of the bearer of a coat of arms. The left hand. The left hand. What does the left hand mean?
Junpei looked at his own left arm. Had the bracelet on his wrist.
Does the darkness of the sinister hand have something to do with the bracelet?
He examined the bracelet closely.
There's 2 things sticking out on either side of the face. The left and right sides of the face. Left and right. Left and right. Right and left. Truth is gone. Truth gone.
Truth, gone. Maybe those 2 words. What else could gone and truth mean?
What else could gone and truth mean? Truth, of course, means something that is correct. Something that's fact. In other words, something that is right. You could then safely assume that gone means left. After all, after someone left, they were gone. But in this case, they clearly refer to their directional homonyms. Then truth equals right, and gone equals left.
Junpei looked at the bracelet again.
The left and right of the bracelet. These 2 things sticking out. So if I...
Press them in the following order. Truth and gone, truth and gone, truth and gone. We're left, left, left. Right, left. And then 1, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1. One after another, 8 numbers flashed on and off of the face of Junpei's bracelet.
Wait, did it just...
Check one more time to be sure. 1, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1.
1, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1.
Huh? Hey, what are those numbers?
Junpei didn't answer. He couldn't answer. He had no idea what they were either. Besides, he was sure he would forget the numbers and the order they came in if he said anything.
1, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1.
Muttering the numbers to himself over and over, Junpei headed over towards the bedroom.
1, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2. 1, 4, 3.
Yep.
1, 4, 3, 8.
Yep.
1, 4, 3.
For long, he found himself in the front of the safe again. Its lock was the only device he could think of that required a sequence of numbers, such as the ones he'd just discovered. Besides, someone had opened the safe at least once already. Had Clover come to the bedroom to open it? Junpei slowly dialed in the numbers the police had given him.
1 to the 4 and... Oh,
Finished.
bingo. I knew it was for this.
Small telltale sound of the lock opening. Grabbed the handle, took a deep breath, and pulled it up.
Oh, is this some sort of note?
Inside was a piece of paper. It was roughly the same size as the one Clover had been holding.
Let's see.
Junpei picked it up. This is what it said. Fact number 1. The nunnery game was played once before 9 years ago. Fact number 2. The person with the number 2 bracelet attended the game 9 years ago. Fact number 3. It was planned by the following 4 people. Cradle Pharmaceutical CEO, Gentaro Hongo. Cradle Pharmaceutical Chief of Staff, Nagisa Nijizaki. Cradle Pharmaceutical R&D Supervisor, Teraki Kuboki. Majority shareholder in Cradle Pharmaceuticals, Kagichika Musashido. I must punish them for the innocent lives they sacrificed. This is the only warning they will receive. That innocent souls might be saved and I state the truth. 0. Junpei left the closet. There were 5 people waiting for him in the bedroom. Ace, Lotus, Santa, 7, and June. He looked at each one of them in turn and slowly placed his hands in the pockets of his vest.
Sorry, but do you think you could all come with me?
Come with you?
I want all of you to go to the big hospital room.
Why?
There's something I want to be sure of.
What do you want to be sure of?
I want to know if the person I suspect is really the culprit.
Wait, then you're saying...
Yeah, I think I've got it figured out. I know who killed Snake and Clover.
The atmosphere in the room changed. Grief was suddenly gone, replaced by tension, like a strap of leather stretched to its limit. 5 sets of eyes stared at Junpei. He pretended not to notice.
Anyway, if you could all please move to the big hospital room. I'll explain everything as soon as we get there.
Then, almost as if on cue, the bell began to ring. They all heard it. It was the bell from the clock in the main staircase. We're about to witness a parlor room scene where the detective is going to explain everything to us, which I love that kind of scene. The bell rang 5 times, then ceased.
It's 5 o'clock.
We've only got an hour left.
We don't have a lot of time left. Let's go.
Slowly, one by one, they followed Junpei out of the bedroom.
Actually, before we get started, I was hoping you could do something for me.
Junpei stopped in front of door 3 and turned around.
Ace, 7, and Lotus, could you please place your palms on the red?
Huh?
Why? If we need to get to the shower room, why don't we just...
No, we're not going inside. Once you've authenticated, step away from the door.
Why?
Please, just do it. Or perhaps you don't want to know who killed Snake and Clover.
Junpei's implication was clear and Seven understood perfectly.
Fine.
What about you, Ace? Lotus?
Very well.
Sure.
Quickly, they pressed their palms onto the red. Once they had finished, they stepped away from the door as Junpei had instructed. 3 asterisks shown from the red's display panel.
I have this idea. I don't think this device responds to a hand placed on it. It instead reacts to a bracelet being brought close. You don't actually need a hand.
Junpei approached it and held his bracelet over the scanner. He made quite sure he didn't place his palm on it and instead only brought his bracelet near it. 4th asterisk appeared.
I knew it.
Just as Junpei had expected, it was possible to authenticate without placing one's palm on the red, so long as the bracelet was brought near it. Junpei pulled the lever down. Door 3 opened like a hungry mouth. 9 long seconds passed, and the door shut and fed. Junpei walked slowly back to the others, who were waiting some distance from the door, talking to one another. Senta and June had joined them as well.
Huh?
It looked as though they hadn't found a chance to break into the conversation yet. As Junpei approached, they turned to look at him, curiosity playing on their faces. Before long, the other 3 did as well.
What was that about?
How should I know?
Clearly, they were all expecting some answers.
Thanks. I appreciate your cooperation.
Clearly, they'd hoped for something more forthcoming. Continued.
By the way, Ace, would you mind if I asked you something?
What is it?
Do you know who I am?
What? What kind of question?
Just answer it, please. Who am I?
You're Junpei, of course. Who else would you be?
Unfortunately, that's the wrong answer. Actually, I'm Santa.
What?
Ace's voice was full of surprise, but it was also tinged with confusion and fear. Everyone else looked nearly as surprised. Senta looked especially shocked to discover he was actually someone else. If he spoke, however, the trap would be exposed. Junpei quickly continued.
The clothes I'm wearing, I borrowed from Junpei. And the clothes he's wearing are mine. We had a little swap.
That's ridiculous. Impossible.
So, you're saying I'm not Santa?
Of course you aren't.
Why? What makes you so sure I'm not Santa?
If you were Santa, then door 3 wouldn't have opened for us just now. 1 plus 7 plus 8 plus 3 equals 19. 1 plus 9 would be 10. The digital route would be 1. But the 4 of us just opened door 3. You can't possibly be Santa. Your bracelet number isn't 3.
It's 5, right?
Only then, when it was too late, did Ace realize his mistake. He set his jaw and glared at Junpei.
You're exactly right. My bracelet number is 5.
As he spoke, Junpei lifted his wrist up to show everyone the bright red 5 on the wrist.
Sorry, Ace. I tricked you. Of course, I'm not really Santa. I'm Junpei. Who could possibly think I was? It's obvious I'm not. To think I was? Ridiculous. But I guess you couldn't see just how obvious it was. I asked you before, didn't I? What makes you so sure I'm not Santa? And you answered. If you were Santa, then door 3 wouldn't have opened for us just now. Most people wouldn't say something like that. The first thing that would come to anyone else's mind wouldn't be the bracelet number. There'd only be one thing they'd say. One sentence. You don't have his face. Ace, you have prosopagnosia, am I right?
Junpei's voice was quiet and calm. He knew the truth. So did Ace.
Prosopagnosia?
The others looked confused.
What's that?
No clue.
Prosopagnosia is...
Here, Lotus began to explain it on to Jun. Ace glanced at them and turned back toward Junpei and sighed.
Very well, I confess. I have prosopagnosia. Is that what this was about? You want to mock me for my disorder?
No, not at all. I'm not making fun of you at all. In fact, I feel kind of bad for you. No, the reason I brought this up is that there's an excellent chance the person who killed Snake has prosopagnosia.
Ace's face tightened, his eyes narrowed.
What do you mean?
Junpei leaned casually against the iron pipe in one of the beds.
I'll just come right out with it. I think it was you, Ace. You killed him.
Junpei was suddenly very aware of 5 pairs of eyes on him. He had their undivided attention now. The room had grown very, very quiet. Junpei took a deep breath.
That's ridiculous. What possible evidence do you...
I have 3 pieces of evidence. The first. Think back to a few hours ago. You made us argue over the 3 doors here in the big hospital room. There was no way all 7 people could go through them. Lotus suggested that we sacrifice one of us.
Lotus looked away awkwardly. Junpei glanced at her and continued.
Then you, Ace, said, I'll stay here. Why would you say something like that? It's pretty simple, really. You didn't want us to see the dead body in the shower room. You see, if Ace stayed behind, there were only 2 doors the rest of us could go through. Doors 7 and 8. There was no way we could get through door 3, the shower. You knew that, didn't you, Ace? That's why you volunteered to stay behind.
Come on now, I think that's going a bit far. I can understand if you're jealous of my bravery, but please don't devalue my actions. I only wanted to save the rest of you. Surely you can understand my altruism.
Altruism, huh?
Junpei stared off into the darkness at something very interesting and lazily began to dig a persistent bit of wax out of his ear.
You already knew, didn't you? You knew that whichever doors we took, eventually we'd end up back in the big hospital room.
What on earth are you saying? Of course I didn't know that. How could I have?
Really?
Yes.
Bleeding was not something they'd heard from Ace before. Junpei pulled the pieces of wax from his ear, glanced at it, and flicked it off into the darkness.
Oh well, that's cool. I've still got 2 more pieces of evidence that say you're the killer. The second is that, as I said earlier, you have prosopagnosia.
Then you mean to imply that a person who can't distinguish human faces must be a bad person? Junpei, they call that prejudice.
No, I am not that stupid.
Then why?
Well, before I explain, I suppose there's something I should tell you. The corpse in the shower room. It's not Snake's.
What?
Ace's face went pale. The others looked confused as well. The body wasn't Snake's.
I didn't put it together right away, but there was something Clover told me. She said that Snake's left arm was prosthetic. He'd lost his real arm in an accident. But the body we saw in the shower room, let's call him Guy X. Guy X's left arm was definitely flesh and blood. In other words, Guy X couldn't possibly have been Snake.
Oh god. No. That's impossible.
Ace had started muttering deliriously to himself, shaking his head back and forth. Junpei was long past caring.
Let's say, hypothetically, that the killer didn't have prosopagnosia. If that were the case, he would immediately realize that Guy X wasn't Snake. Even if the clothes were the same as Snake's, their faces would be completely different. It would have been obvious they were different people. And yet, they still killed him. Why? Why would they kill a stranger who'd only just shown up? On the other hand, if the killer did have prosopagnosia, it makes sense. They thought Guy X was Snake and killed him.
Wait. Wait just a moment. Let's say you're right, and I mistook Guy X for Snake. Even if I did, I would have had no motive to kill him. Why would I want to kill Snake?
I can think of at least two motives. One, Snake knew about your past. If he ever revealed what he knew, that would have been really bad for you. You really didn't want that to happen. So to make sure Snake's mouth stayed shut, you killed him. Two, Snake had a grudge against you. You knew that, or at least you could have easily assumed he did. Even without exposing your identity, he was a threat to you. You never knew when you might be attacked. You couldn't ever let your guard down. Every moment was a moment he might try something. You didn't want that kind of danger hanging over you. So you...
Hey, hold on a minute.
For the first time since the beginning of Junpei's explanation, someone besides Ace spoke.
What's the past that Ace wouldn't want us to know? Why did Snake have a grudge against him?
Look at this.
He handed Santa a small piece of paper.
What's this piece of paper?
Santa squinted at the paper and began to read.
The Nonary game was played once before 9 years ago. The person with the number 2 bracelet attended the game 9 years ago. It was planned by the following 4 people. Cradle Pharmaceuticals CEO Gentaro Hongo. What is this?
Slowly, Santa looked up from the paper. His eyes met Junpei's.
It's the message from Zero. It was in the safe in the first class cabin.
Then suddenly,
Give me a break!
Ace's face was red and shaking, and his voice was full of fury, tinged with desperation.
That paper is a lie! Someone is trying to frame me!
Me. You said me, right?
Junpei's eyes narrowed and the trap began to close. Ace inhaled sharply. His eyes flicked off to Junpei to something. Anything else?
Wouldn't that mean you're admitting you're Hongo, the CEO of Cradle Pharmaceuticals? Or am I mistaken?
It was as though a switch had been flipped. The color drained from Ace's face, and as he realized what he'd done, his eyes went wide.
Very well. I admit that much. I am certainly the CEO of Cradle Pharmaceutical, Gentaro Hongo. So what if I am? I don't know anything about this Nonary game that supposedly took place 9 years ago. Everything on that scrap of paper is bullshit. Someone is trying to set me up, you see? First of all...
Ace stammered as he tried desperately to work himself to a more tenable position.
Junpei, you're claiming I did this all by myself. Think that over, all right? How could I have killed Snake all by myself?
Not Snake. It was Guy X.
I don't care who it was. You said the killer put this other man into door 3, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Then I couldn't have possibly done that alone. I couldn't have opened door 3 with only myself and Guy X.
Nope. You could have.
Huh?
Ace's face was tight and his teeth were clenched. Junpei fixed him with a level stare. The trap was about to close.
Actually, Ace, when you were unconscious, I took something from you. Remember when you were injected with that anesthetic and fell asleep in the big hospital room? Yeah, back then, I took this.
Junpei pulled his hand into his pocket.
No! You couldn't have!
Ace's right hand moved. Junpei smiled.
I got you, Ace. Your right hand there tells me all I needed to know. You want to tell me what you were so worried about? What's in your pocket? It's the number 9 bracelet, isn't it? Ace, Guy X, and the 9th man's bracelet. That was all you needed to open door 3.
1 plus 2 plus 9, ultimately 3.
That's how you killed Guy X all by yourself, Ace. All you needed was the number 9 bracelet in your chest pocket.
Ace lowered his hand from where it had stopped, halfway to his pocket. He looked down at the floor, his face hidden from Junpei. All he could see was the corner of Ace's mouth, fishing like a dying fish.
If you want to play innocent, that's fine by me. Go ahead, Tell me, I don't have the bracelet, if that's what you want to do. But if you could take off your coat and hand it to me, I'd really appreciate it. Otherwise, we'll have to take it from you by force. Right, Seven?
Yeah, it'd be my pleasure.
Seven cracked his knuckles with a sound like gunfire. Definitely not a bad guy's laugh. Totally not. Ace roared with laughter. He threw his arms wide and his head back and laughed, filling the room with a sound that scarcely belonged there. Then it stopped. His arms came down and his head dropped to look straight ahead at Junpei. Oh, it's the bad guy face. His face was flat and cold, devoid of any emotion.
Well done, Junpei. As you so correctly deduced, I have the number 9 bracelet. I retrieved it while we were searching for the missing hardware for the Red. I left the room I was supposed to search and headed to the first-class cabin on B deck.
His voice showed no emotion, no sense of remorse or interest. It was almost bored, as though he were reciting an especially dull corporate letter.
My purpose was to obtain the number 9 bracelet. 9 is a potent ally in the nonary game. Adding 9 to any set of numbers won't alter the digital root.
Yep. Yes,
As you can see, 9 is a very useful number here. With it, one can go anywhere, with anyone. It is, I suppose you could say, a game changer. So I made for the first-class cabin to obtain it, in mere moments. I successfully acquired the number 9 bracelet. There was also an unexpected bonus. The knife the 9th man had used. I quickly pocketed both of them.
Right.
I made my way back to where I was expected to be. That's when I ran into Snake. Well, this guy X, actually. He was heading for the large hospital room and hadn't noticed me. The man wearing Snake's clothes arrived at door 3. When he stopped, I walked up behind him and called out, "Snake." He turned around. He said nothing. His mouth simply hung half open. He seemed dazed somehow, almost like a man half asleep. Perhaps he had been drugged. It wasn't important. I tend to gloss over little things like that. I was certain that man was Snake. I knew Snake had taken part in the nonary game 9 years ago. Being blind, it made sense that he didn't recognize me immediately upon our first meeting. But why then hadn't Snake said anything to me later? Surely he hadn't forgotten what had happened to him in the nonary game. But not once did he attempt to confront me. Did his lack of sight prevent him from fully recognizing who I was? Or perhaps Snake had conspired with Zero to deceive me? Regardless, he was a threat, and it was better to deal with him sooner rather than later. I had to get rid of him before he took action. With quick thinking, my plan went into motion immediately. I held the number 9 bracelet over the Red. I waved my own bracelet in front of the Red, and then grabbed Snake's arm and shoved his hand against the scanner panel. The door opened. I threw the man through it. 9 seconds later, the door shut. 81 seconds passed.
The man inside the door passed away.
After that, I returned to my post as though nothing had happened. After conducting my own search, I returned to the large hospital room when the 1 a.m. bell rang.
Ace's eyes were cold and his cheeks were hollow and pallid. When he spoke, only his lips and tongue moved. The rest of his face was eerily still. Big glared at Ace. He took a deep breath and thought about the next question he had to ask. He didn't want to. He knew what the answer would be. He just didn't want to hear it. Junpei swallowed and spoke.
Ace, did you kill Clover?
Yes.
Why? Why did you kill her?
She was Snake's sister. It was possible he had told her something dangerous. Additionally, she had gone through door 1. It seemed likely she might have found it.
Found what?
Why don't you go through door 1 yourself? Perhaps it's hidden somewhere.
Seven and Lotus interrupted.
Yeah, but Lotus and I went through door 1 too.
We didn't see anything suspicious.
Yes. I thought as much after I heard your report at the central stairs. I doubt the two of you could find it.
Hmm?
Huh?
But perhaps Clover was different. Perhaps she had found it. I was, therefore, desperate to find her. And at last I did, in the first-class cabin. I spoke very calmly. Did you see it?
See what?
Don't act as if you don't understand. You were in the captain's quarters, weren't you?
Uh-huh. What are you talking about?
Very well. By the way, what are you doing here, Clover?
What? Nothing.
There's blood on your shoes. It looks fresh. Did you go take a look at the ninth man's corpse? I see. Your silence suggests that you noticed. You saw something, didn't you? You saw that his bracelet was gone.
No!
Clover ran. She made for the exit, but he stood in her way.
You aren't going anywhere.
He caught her by the collar as she passed and threw her to the floor hard.
You're staying here.
No!
She leapt back up and darted past him into the hallway. He's followed her run.
Don't you run, little girl.
Oh, this is creepy. He was faster.
That was how I killed Clover.
His face hadn't changed. If he felt guilt or remorse or anything one might feel after taking the life of another human being, it didn't show.
You son of a bitch!
Seven's whole body trembled with rage and his voice rumbled with hate. Santa's eyes were bloodthirsty, and Lotus and June's faces were distorted by anger and hatred. He looked at them and smiled. It was a cold, cruel thing with no humor in it. He shook his head and sighed.
I admit it. I've lost. I have lost. Completely and utterly. Don't misunderstand, Junpei. I didn't lose to you. I lost to Zero. Not you. I'm rather disgusted with myself for falling into such a simple trap. I looked the fool. And it was a trap. Make no mistake. I was trapped and manipulated by Zero. The man I killed in the shower room, if he wasn't Snake, then I have no idea who he was. But he was wearing Snake's clothes, and that was no coincidence. He had also been injected with something that reduced his cognition and prevented him from identifying himself or resisting me. And we can't forget the components that were removed from the red before we arrived. I have no doubt that Zero planned all of this. Zero made sure I would kill that man. It follows, of course, that Zero knew everything I would do. That I would try to take the number 9 bracelet. That I would try to kill Snake. Everything.
Suddenly, Junpei remembered the paper he'd found in the safe. He remembered the last words Zero had written on it. I must punish them for the innocent lives they sacrificed. This is the only warning they will receive. That innocent souls might be saved, I now speak the truth. Zero. And he remembered other words he'd heard from Clover.
I think Zero is one of us.
Huh?
One by one, Junpei looked at the 5 people standing in front of him. Ace, Santa, June, Seven, Lotus.
Zero is one of us? No. Wait, there's one more person. Snake. The man who died in the shower room isn't Snake. That means he's almost certainly still alive. Maybe Snake is Zero. Maybe he made Guy X wear his clothes so that we'd all think he was dead. Where's Snake now? What if he's off somewhere laughing at us? If he is Zero, he must have been lying to us about everything else. Is he watching us?
Well, I believe I've finished with my confession. Why don't we get moving?
Hmm. I wonder what I need to do to get the other version of the ending. Maybe have Clover survive? Yeah, probably. He sounded as if he'd just finished doing nothing more exciting than describing the weather. For Santa, it was the last straw.
What the hell is this shit? You aren't going anywhere, you son of a bitch! We're gonna leave your ass here to rot!
Why? Because I killed Clover? That's ridiculous. Why are you so upset that I killed the little bitch? She was nothing to you. A stranger you only met a few hours ago. Am I wrong? You bastard!
Seven roared and lifted a fist that would likely have shattered Ace's jaw, but someone else was faster. It was Lotus. She stepped toward Ace, raised a fist of her own, and drove it straight into his nose.
Blindsiding me with a punch, huh? You've got some fire, don't you? I confess, I rather like a tough woman.
He sniffed and wiped a small trickle of blood from his nose with a raised eyebrow.
Well, maybe you'd like another one then.
Before that, let me give you one of my own.
Huh?
Lotus scarcely had time to blink. Ace snaked his arms around her and pulled Lotus's back up against him. In the same motion, he reached into his coat pocket. It was a gun. A revolver. Almost lazily, he tilted it to point it at Lotus's head.
If any of you so much as blink, I won't hesitate to pull this trigger. I've already killed 3 people. Don't think I'm not ready to make it 4.
3 people? What do you mean?
Very well. Let me take this opportunity to illuminate you. The person who killed the 9th man was me. Although I suppose to be more accurate, I encouraged him to get himself killed. While we were examining the main staircase, he came to me and told me his name. I recognized it at once, so I gave him a little push. Just a little white lie. It seems the settings for the dead were altered. Now it only requires a single person to deactivate the detonator in the bracelet. Investigate what's beyond door 5. We'll meet again later. And with that...
Okay. Have a good one, guys.
Fucking creep.
I'm going off ahead now. Well then.
Why is it stopping? God damn it! You lied! Open the door, please! I'm begging you! Help me! Please get me out of here! Oh my god, oh my god! There's no time left! Listen! I was lied to! He lied to me! He put me in here! It was him! He killed me! It was him! Ah!
I had 4 reasons for killing him.
1.
As I said before, in the nonary game, the number 9 bracelet is of utmost importance. If I had allowed him to keep such a useful tool, he, or it, would have become a threat to me.
I kind of wish the voice actor had changed his voice to make him sound, like, more dangerous in a way.
As such,
Or
I
crazier.
decided that he should be eliminated early on. I wanted the number 9 bracelet. If I could manage to obtain it, I would be able to manipulate the game as I saw fit. I would be unable to acquire the bracelet unless its owner was dead. That's the second reason. Even setting aside his number, he would have been nothing but trouble for me. He was aware of my past. He knew what happened here 9 years ago. It was important that I eliminate him before he was able to disseminate this information. Lastly, I wished to conduct a simple test. A test to see if this nonary game was serious, or a poor attempt at a joke. I needed to be quite sure. As such, I encouraged him to act against the rules so that I might observe the outcome.
Junpei glared at him.
I don't get your third motive. What the hell happened 9 years ago?
Didn't I say? The nonary game was played. I planned it out, and I conducted its execution.
Why? What on earth was it supposed to do?
I don't really think I have any obligation to tell you that.
Ace smirked. He was trying to provoke them, and it was working. Although Ace had paid very little attention to Lotus after catching her, the gun had never wavered from her temple. She looked quite pale, and when she spoke, her voice shook.
Hey, what's with this gun? Where did he get this?
Why don't you tell her, Santa?
Santa ground his teeth and glared at Ace.
On the other side of door 6, we found the gun in the coffin in the cargo room, right? The bastard must have grabbed it when we weren't looking.
Indeed, I did. That was a pretty serious mistake, you know. Just saying you intended to leave it behind.
Ace laughed, a short, derisive snort. He gave Junpei a sickeningly pitying look.
Well, there isn't much time left. I'll be off then.
Well, where are you going?
Do I really need to explain? I had assumed it would be obvious. I have the number 9 bracelet. And now I have Lotus.
That was it, +1 makes 9.
Wasn't there a door with a 9 on it in the room that looked like a church? That's where you're going, isn't it?
And how do you know that?
Santa told me about it while we were looking for Clover.
I see. Well, you are correct. That is my destination. But now I must say goodbye to all of you. Ah, and please, don't forget my warning. Move and I'll pull the trigger. I don't need her alive to open the door, you know.
As he spoke, Ace began backing toward the door, practically dragging Lotus behind him.
Shit! He's getting away!
But we can't risk it.
Junpei, Santa, June, and 7 stood, frozen. Ace had the face of a man gone mad. They had no doubt he would pull the trigger. Ace has reached the exit.
Now, Lotus, open the door for me if you would.
Force Lotus to open it, then turn and address them once more.
Goodbye.
Then he stepped through the door. Fell shut. In the blink of an eye, they were gone.
Damn it!
As soon as Ace and Lotus were gone, Junpei and the others leapt for the door in pursuit of Ace. But as Junpei laid his hands on the doorknob, there was a noise behind him. He looked over his shoulder. June was kneeling on the floor, breathing heavily.
Hey, June, what happened? Are you alright?
Santa ran to June and wrapped his arm around her before she could collapse all the way.
Jesus, you're burning up. Your fever's back. Are you okay?
June's fever had returned, again for no apparent reason. Her eyes were watery and her eyelids drooped. Her breath came in dry, shallow gasps.
I'm okay. Really, I'm fine. You should be worrying about Lotus.
She was breathing hard now, and she could barely summon the strength to talk.
But...
Junpei was torn. He couldn't leave June alone in the state she was in. But every moment they waited, Ace was farther away. Lotus's life in his hands. What was Junpei supposed to do? June's eyes drifted to Junpei's. She managed to muster a weak smile.
Jumpy, don't worry about me. I just need a little rest. I'll be fine. Don't you remember? I just needed to rest a little bit last time. So please, please save Lotus.
Think about what Ace has already done, Junpei. When he's got what he needs from Lotus, you really think he's just gonna let her walk away?
Damn it. You guys go on ahead. Soon as June starts feeling better, we'll follow you. Go!
Junpei looked at June.
Huh?
She nodded once. She couldn't manage much more. But it was all the confirmation Junpei needed. His resolve was set.
All right. Come on, 7. We're going after Ace.
Hell yeah!
Santa, you take good care of June. I'm trusting you. Got it.
Santa nodded. Junpei turned before he had a chance to change his mind and started running toward the door. You could hear 7's heavy footsteps behind him.
Let's go!
Junpei and 7 exploded into the hallway, their feet pounding the metal floor as they ran. Running. Junpei and Seven had finally arrived at the church, exhausted and out of breath. As their lungs struggled to catch their breath, their eyes frantically scanned the room.
Where are they?
I don't...
You think they already went through?
He reached up to wipe a palm full of sweat from his brow.
Maybe.
Even as he spoke, Junpei was right on his way to the larger of the number 9 doors.
Let's check the red.
Vacant. This foot panel read vacant. He spun around and headed toward the smaller door. Red would tell him if Ace and Lotus had moved to another room.
Engaged. It's occupied.
That means Ace and Lotus went through here.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Junpei and Seven stepped away from the door. They retreated to the center of the room and began to talk.
What do we do now?
Yeah, what should we do? Well, the big door is still vacant, but...
The two of us can't do anything with it.
Yeah, not even counting how our digital route isn't 9.
Just then, as they were pondering what to do next, there was a noise. It was like someone hitting a thick wooden panel.
What's that sound?
Junpei looked up, surprised. Seven followed suit, his eyes jumping around the room, looking for the source of the sound.
It's coming from over there.
It wasn't long before they found the altar. Or more precisely, what was on it.
The coffin.
Yeah.
Let's open it.
How?
By force!
I don't think that's gonna happen.
Well, you never know till you try, right? The only necessity for success is the willingness to suffer 1,000 failures.
Who said that?
I forget. Anyway, we've got to try.
Junpei and Seven leapt to the coffin. He grabbed hold of what purchase he could find and pulled.
Damn it!
See? Didn't I tell you? If you could just pull it open, why would it have something like that?
Seven pointed out a keypad on the side of the coffin.
Right. So unless I put in the right passcode, it's not gonna open.
The noise hadn't stopped. In fact, as it continued, it had only gotten louder and more forceful. What were they supposed to do, Junpei wondered.
Was there some sort of clue somewhere?
He stood there for a few moments, staring at the coffin, and then Seven spoke.
Hey, Junpei. I remember you mumbling about some weird numbers over by the bathroom in the first-class cabin. You got those numbers by solving the secret message Clover was holding, right? Truth had gone, or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. What about it?
Well, maybe that number's the passcode for this thing, too.
Come on, that's impossible. Those numbers were the code to unlock that safe.
Yeah, but the person who set up that safe in this coffin is the same person, right? Zero set up both of these.
Yeah, probably.
Well, then they might have set the same passcode for both of them.
That's ridiculous.
Why don't you just try it? I mean, it's not like you'll make things any worse.
It'd just be a waste of time. There's no way they're the same number.
How do you know that? You never know until you try. The only necessity for success is the willingness to suffer 1,000 failures.
Who said that?
You.
Fine.
He knelt down in front of the keypad and looked at it. Perhaps because he had repeated them so many times before, the numbers came easily to Junpei's mind.
1438 3421.
438 3421. Quickly he tapped them in. Checked that it entered the right numbers, took a deep breath, and pressed the E button. It only took a moment.
What? You gotta be kidding me.
There was a click. And with a heavy clang, the lid of the coffin slid off onto the floor. Someone sat up from inside.
Snake!
You? Why?
Ah, those voices. Junpei and Seven, unless I'm mistaken. Where are the others? Are they elsewhere?
Of course, there was no reason Snake would have known anything about where anyone else would be. Junpei and Seven looked at one another. There was a great deal he needed to know, but they had to tell him something, however, so they began to talk. Snake explained to them how he came to be locked in a coffin. Apparently, he had been hit with some sort of knockout gas, and Junpei and Seven explained what had happened to the rest of them.
I see. I believe I got the gist of everything. Have I been sufficiently caught up?
No, there was one thing they kept from him. There was one thing, however, that neither Seven nor Junpei could bring themselves to say. That Ace had killed Clover. He feared that if Snake knew, he might well go insane.
Yeah.
They decided as much by a look the moment Snake had climbed out of the coffin.
But that still doesn't explain why you were trapped in here.
We've still got no clue about Zero's true identity, let alone why the hell he's doing all this. Why did he put Guy X in Snake's clothes? Is all this stuff somehow related to that Nonary game that was played 9 years ago?
Hey, Snake, do you know anything?
Junpei put out the question to Snake. His answer was less than illuminating.
What are you talking about? I apologize, but I have no idea what you're saying.
It seemed as if Snake was perhaps not being entirely honest, but the knowledge did Junpei and Seven little good.
Oh, come on, just tell us if you know.
I don't know what to tell you. How can I know something I don't?
No matter how many times they asked, he insisted that he knew nothing. It was becoming clear that Snake wouldn't give in, and every second they spent asking him was a second wasted.
This is bad. We're running out of time.
We need to go after Ace.
However, they stood in silence, the overpowering atmosphere of the chapel almost stifling. Stifling. Junpei, Seven, and Snake simply stood at a loss for what they should do next.
What do we do now?
He glanced over at Snake's wrist. Sure enough, he could see the 2 on the bracelet on Snake's wrist.
The 3 of us can't make a digital route of 9.
Yeah, we just get 5.
We're stuck here then.
Oh. Hey, I just remembered something.
Then he began patting his pockets as if he were checking to see if any of them held anything.
What?
What is it?
I found something earlier.
What did you find?
This.
He finally found the pocket he wanted, and his hand dove into it. Seven pulled something round and metal. A bracelet. There was no mistaking the number glowing at them from the face like a cartoon eye.
Zero. Zero's bracelet.
What did you say? Are you saying that 7 has the number 0 bracelet?
Yeah.
Where did you get that?
Snake's question was innocent enough, but he learned the truth. If he'd been able to see, he would have noticed Seven looked away.
Clover gave it to me.
She did?
Yeah.
How did she come by it?
Well, she found it on the other side of door 1, A-deck, in the captain's quarters. She asked me to hold on to it because it was too big and bulky for her to be lugging around.
He's lying.
Junpei could tell right away that Seven wasn't telling the truth.
He even told us earlier.
I haven't actually looked at it yet. Didn't want to disturb the crime scene, you know? Basic stuff. Well, I did borrow one thing.
He probably said that so Snake doesn't find out about Clover.
Alright, Junpei. Been nice knowing you.
Wait, what?
7 plus 2 plus 0 is 9.
Come on, man, I'm just kidding. Still, just in case, I want to make sure the 0 bracelet gets picked up by the red. Snake, give me a hand, alright?
Without a warning, waiting for a response, he started walking toward the door. Junpei and Snake followed him quietly. For long, they found themselves in front of the larger of the 2 doors. 7 and Snake put their palms on the red. Once they'd done that, 7 put the number 0 bracelet on the scanner panel as well. The 3rd asterisk appeared on the screen. Now they just needed to pull the lever and the door would open. Error.
Huh? Why isn't it opening?
Well, the 3rd asterisk lit up, so it must have registered the 0 bracelet.
Maybe it isn't actually 0.
Huh?
What?
That bracelet may not actually produce the number 0 when scanned. That is what I'm saying. Why don't we try a few different combinations? Perhaps we can determine what number that bracelet actually contains.
Oh, got it!
Junpei nodded. They decided to use the following combination. Snake, Junpei, and the bracelet.
Let's try Snake, me, and the bracelet. If
This would be a 2. Oh,
It didn't open.
Guess it's not 2.
Then?
Let's do Junpei 7 and the bracelet.
Let's try me, 7, and the bracelet. If this combination works, then the number for this bracelet is 6.
Ooh.
It opened.
Yes, so it would seem.
Was that an O? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O. Yeah. Mod 9 and O is a 6. 7 clearly hadn't thought their experimentation would produce anything useful and looked rather confused. Snake was, as usual, calm and smug. Door slid closed. Junpei's forehead furrowed as he thought.
That means the bracelet is actually 6. But how is that possible? The display on the bracelet clearly shows a 0.
Suddenly, from somewhere far beneath them, they heard a creaking groan of teared metal. But it came the sound of water pouring into parts of the ship that had, until recently, been dry.
Oh man, that's not good. I guess our time's just about up, huh?
At any rate, we know now that the door can be opened. Let's go!
But, Snake, are you sure?
Yeah. You know that only Junpei and I can go through this way.
You needn't worry. I have a solution to this problem. My last resort. But if now is not the time for last resorts, then when?
Last?
Resort?
Junpei 7 and Snake ran full tilt down a long straight hallway. They were headed for the stern of the ship and had no time for distractions. As they ran, 7 spoke.
Gotta admit, you really surprised me there, kid. I couldn't figure out how the hell you were gonna get out of that one. How come you didn't do that right off the bat?
As I told you, it was a last resort. Had I used it at the beginning of the game, I would have come under a great deal of suspicion. I imagine that most people would have taken it to mean that I was 0. Once they'd convinced themselves of that, I wasn't optimistic about my chances of making it out of here alive. Look, I felt it best to play my cards close to the chest, as it were. That way, if I were in a situation where there was nothing else I could do, I'd have a little trick up my sleeve. I'd just take my bracelet off.
Snake's plan had been simple but effective. He'd simply removed his bracelet. How? Junpei had looked as though Snake had simply crushed the bones of his hand until they were small enough to fit through the wristband. Of course, that would have been practically impossible, so how had he done it?
My brother's left arm is, it's not like a normal person's arm. It's fake. It's not a real arm.
Snake had slid the bracelet off and tossed it into the coffin.
I know this is kind of a weird thing to say, but I'm glad that's a fake arm.
You don't have to be afraid of the door if you don't got a bracelet.
You are correct.
He walked through the door easily without authenticating. He stepped out of the other side of his cave and began running down the hall alongside 7 and Junpei. He kept running for a while longer and eventually came upon a set of stairs leading downward on the right side of the hallway. They stopped and peered down the staircase.
I think these stairs connect to the bottom deck.
Doesn't look like it's underwater.
They nodded quickly to one another and jogged downstairs. It took only a few minutes to make their way to the bottom deck. There was a single hallway in front of them, at the end of which was a single door.
Let's go through that door.
Junpei threw it open. Inside was a massive iron gate. The plate was affixed to the top of it. It read Incinerator.
Incinerator?
Oh my. That doesn't sound very pleasant. Do you see a lever near the gate, perhaps?
Yeah, right over here.
How did you know that?
Well, I'd be happy to regale you with the story. I imagine it should only take half a day or so.
Junpei grumbled, gave Snake a dirty look, and jogged over to the lever.
If you pull it, the door ought to open.
Got it.
He pulled the lever down. With the rumble of an ancient motor, the door opened. There was no need to hold back and no time to hesitate. They pushed their way inside. Standing in front of them were Ace and Lotus. Ace still had the revolver in his hand. It was still pressed hard against Lotus's temple. A small dark bruise had begun to form near the tip. Even from several yards away, Junpei could see that Lotus was shaking. He was terrified. But perhaps more interesting was what Junpei saw behind him. 9. Another numbered 9 door.
What? Why? Why is there another one?
The door stopped Junpei in his tracks. It simply shouldn't have been there. Brain finally began to consider why. The whine of a warning klaxon filled the air, drowning out any thought.
Warning. Warning. Emergency incineration command has been acknowledged. Automatic incineration will take place in 9 minutes. Please evacuate the incinerator immediately.
Oh my, how exciting. You've run quite a show here, Zero.
A terrifying smile twisted Ace's face.
What's the matter? Too frightened to understand? Here, let me explain.
It's said that the incineration system is about to activate. In 9 minutes, this room will be engulfed in flame.
Who are you?
You don't recognize me? I'm hurt. It's me, Snake.
Snake? Oh yes, you are alive. I'm afraid your bizarre style had me confused. I'm quite glad to see that you're alive.
Ace's voice didn't change. Snake ground his teeth.
If you don't mind my asking, how did you get here? Snake, Junpei 7. The 3 of you couldn't have opened a door with a 9. Did you use Clover's bracelet, perhaps?
What?
Ah, well, your reaction suggests that you did not.
Hold on. Why did you think we'd have Clover's bracelet?
Junpei felt his chest tighten.
Oh, they haven't told you?
Told me what?
Clearly not. Normally I would take some time and enjoy the moment. But I'm afraid my time is at a premium just now. I'll have to make this quick. Clover.
Don't do it, Ace! Keep your goddamn mouth shut!
Clover.
I said stop it! Don't listen to him, Snake!
Junpei could feel his voice growing hoarse, but Snake didn't listen to him.
What happened to Clover?
Ace looked at him, the corner of his mouth curling into the hook of a cruel smile.
Clover died.
Color left Snake's face. He shook his head weakly.
No, that's not true. That's impossible. It's a lie. It has to be a lie.
Oh, it's quite true. I can assure you of that. I killed her myself, you see.
What?
I'm sorry, did I stutter? I killed her.
Snake's face twisted into a mask of rage, mottled red rising to dot his pale skin. His entire body shook. He looked at Junpei, disturbingly like a demon.
I would have rather she died with less suffering. A bullet in her brain, perhaps, would have been ideal. Unfortunately, that would have made quite a bit of noise. Circumstances being what they were, I was forced to settle for the knife. The one the 9th man had, you remember? I believe I caught her just below the shoulder blade. I was rather lucky, in fact. My first thrust went right between her ribs. Her flesh was so soft. My knife slid in so easily. There was no resistance. That feeling was... I confess, I feel rather excited. It is a powerful memory. Someday, perhaps, I hope I can feel it again.
Incineration will begin in 7 minutes.
I'm going to kill you.
Snake's words were a guttural growl, barely audible.
What was that?
I'll kill you. I'll kill you.
Ah, so you're going to kill me. Please do. Come now. I'm waiting.
Don't do it! Don't listen to him, Snake!
Stop it, kid. He's screwing with your head.
Is there a problem? Don't you want me to send you to join your sister?
Don't! The snake!
Don't do it!
The snake could no longer hear them. Snake could no longer hear anything. Snake moved like a bolt of lightning. His scream echoed through the incineration chamber, full of rage and despair.
Snake! Snake!
Snake! Snake! Snake! Ba 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 da na. Ba ba ba. One day, we'll get there. Another scream filled the room. It was Lotus. She ran across the room toward Junpei, her eyes wide with terror.
Lotus! Hurry! This way!
Snake's ill-fated attack had loosened Ace's grip on her, and she'd made a run for it. She reached down and Junpei and ducked behind them.
Incineration will begin in 5 minutes.
Give me the woman.
He raised the gun.
I need her. Without her bracelet, I will be unable to open this door. Quickly now! I don't have time for your shenanigans.
In the center of the room, Snake's body lay eerily still. It looked like a human larva, thrown invulnerable on the floor.
I see. Then it would seem I have no choice. The rest of you must die as well. Fortunately, I have 5 bullets left. 1 for Junpei, another for Lotus, and the last 3 for that lump of idiotic man you call Seven. I will take Lotus's body with me and leave this room.
Incineration will begin in 4 minutes.
Well, it looks as though our time together is at an end. I rather enjoyed playing with you.
Damn it!
Junpei could see Ace's finger tighten. He could see it begin to squeeze down on the trigger. His body tense, preparing for the catastrophic impact of hot lead against human flesh.
Goodbye.
And it happened.
Kill you!
Snake stood up.
What? No, that's impossible.
For the first time, Ace's composure broke. With obvious effort, Snake lunged forward, one step closer to Ace. Then another. He looked for all the world like a zombie.
I'll kill you. I'll kill you.
His voice was the mournful wailing of the undead.
Stay away from me. Get back. Stop. If you come any closer, I'll... Get away from me.
Little by little, Ace was retreating. Snake didn't stop. He continued a stiff, inexorable approach, his eyes twin pools of pure fury.
Listen to me. I said, don't come any closer. Shit! You bastard!
Ace's revolver leapt 5 times. 5 times, the air in the incinerator was split by the crack of a bullet. Snake's body twitched as 5 clouds of blood and torn flesh leapt into the air across his body. A fine pink mist drifted from his body and disappeared. Junpei didn't have time to ponder what that meant before. And then his strength was gone. His legs crumbled and his broken and battered body slipped to the floor.
Incineration will begin in 3 minutes.
Finally, you're...
But Snake wasn't done.
I'll kill you.
Even as the pool of blood beneath him grew, he began to move. He half crawled, half slid toward Ace. One bloody arm wrapped itself around Ace's leg,
You won't get away.
and the other gripped his thigh with strength that should have been long gone.
You son of a bitch! You're a monster!
You're a monster!
Get off me! Let me go, damn you!
He kicked at Snake with his free leg, driving his foot into Snake's face, his arms, his shoulder. It made no difference. Snake refused to release him. Once the snake had ensnared its prey, it rarely does it release it.
This is it, Ace. We're going to burn to death together. What?
Incineration will begin in...
Oh, just give me a second. When you want to order something and then you wait too long and the restaurant closes, it's just the worst. It's the best quality.
Minutes.
Yeah, damn it! Damn you! Get off! Let me go, you monster! Okay, look. Think about it this way. My company owns a wonderful hospital. It has excellent doctors. You're not wounded too seriously. I'm sure they can fix you up easily. You don't have to die. You could be saved. Just let me go.
Pathetic. Begging for your life.
Then Seven and Lotus began to speak. Junpei could hear tears in their voices and their words were strained.
Snake, that's enough! You can stop now!
Yes! He's right, Snake! You've done enough!
Come on, Snake, let's go! Let's get out of here!
You have to come with us! We have to leave together!
Snake turned towards them. He coughed and blood splattered across the floor. Then he smiled a set sort of smile.
I apologize, but I'm afraid I can't do that. You'd best forget about me. I'm going to take him with me.
Shut up! Be quiet!
I couldn't save Clover. My sister died because of me. Perhaps this will begin to atone for that. Perhaps in the afterlife, she can forgive me. Now go. Go now. You have to go.
Incineration will begin in 1 minute.
God damn it! We gotta go!
Seven ran towards the exit. Lotus followed him, but Junpei couldn't move. There were white lines down Snake's cheeks where his tears had washed the blood away. He was broken, body and soul, and Junpei felt as though half his own heart had been torn out. His eyes stung, and he tried desperately to swallow to clear the lump in his throat.
Junpei, what are you doing? You have to get out of here now!
Junpei's chest tightened, pulled tabbed by anger, misery, and a cold feeling of emptiness. Her emotion searched for his heart alongside the torrent of blood. He could feel it building, a tremendous wave growing taller and taller and taller. And then it broke, crashing down with thunderous force onto his shaken, unprepared mind.
Snake! Snake!
Snake! Junpei's rational mind was gone. He was driven by instinct now, and he launched himself across the floor at Snake and Ace. Or he tried to.
Wait! Don't be an idiot, Junpei!
Felt her hand grab him from behind. It was Seven. Before he had time to react, the larger man had pinned Junpei's arms to his side and was hauling him bodily back toward the door.
No! No! I have to help Snake! 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 Get off of me! Let me go!
Incineration will begin in 10 seconds. Seven, 6.
Damn it, I don't get a choice, kid! Don't blame me for this, alright?
Five, 4, 3, 2. 1, 0. Gates 2 and 3 are locked down. Beginning incineration.
Junpei felt Seven's fist bury itself deep in his stomach, and then his legs turned to mush. Seven scooped him up in the same motion and leapt through the door. It slammed shut behind them. Junpei struggled to shake his feet. He glanced over to see Lotus only a short distance away. Junpei ran to the door. There was a small window cut into it. Inside, he could see Ace and Snake.
Shit! Damn you all! Why? Why? Why me? I don't deserve this! Answer me! Answer me, Zero! Why? Why? Zero! Zero! Zero!
He didn't know how much time had passed. He didn't know how long he stood there in front of the incinerator. Looked to the side. Noticed his face was ashen, and if not for the hand she put against the wall, Junpei didn't think she could have stood. Seven looked old and tired and used. His eyes stared at the floor, seeing nothing. Junpei said nothing. He simply began to walk toward the open door, and the hallway that come down earlier.
Hey, wait! Junpei!
Junpei, where are you going?
He blinked when their voices broke the silence. He stopped.
You stay here. I'll go get Santa and June.
You're gonna bring them here?
How?
Don't worry about that. Just stay here and wait, alright?
He began to walk again. He looked over his shoulder and watched Seven and Lotus grow smaller and smaller. They stared back, not moving. He wasn't sure if they could. He turned around again. He knew where it was going.
I saw an elevator on the way here. If I can get it to work, then maybe...
Before long, Junpei found himself in front of the elevator. Next to the door was a button with a triangle on it.
Please work.
He pushed it and the door opened.
Yes.
Junpei was in the large hospital room.
June! Santa!
He kept calling and walked to the center of the room. But try as he might, he couldn't find them.
Damn it. Where did they go?
Increasingly frustrated and increasingly worried, Junpei left the large hospital room. He had no choice. He would have to look for them. Junpei's heart was heavy. He couldn't shake the feeling, but there was a part of him that felt it would be wrong to, even if he could. With every step he took, his legs felt more and more like lead. Just nowhere to be found. Where are you guys? Santa, Jude. Where can I find you? Sometime later, Junpei found himself in the chapel. He stepped inside, expecting to find nothing. But there, on the red carpet in the center of the room... June! No, good names didn't matter any longer. She was Canny.
Connie!
Junpei cried her name and ran. Like lightning, he ran across the room toward her.
Connie!
He stumbled to a stop. As he looked down at her, lying so still on the floor, he felt the icy grip of fear upon his heart. It was still, so very still.
No. It can't be. It's impossible.
Slowly, Junpei bent down toward her. His hands shook and he felt very cold and very hot at the same time. He forced himself to look. Her back was moving. Slowly, it rose and fell. Relief washed over him.
Oh, Connie!
Junpei reached down and gently, very gently, lifted her up.
Connie, are you alright?
Jumpy?
Her face was pale and her lips were dry and cracked. Her eyes were blank and cloudy. They stared straight at Junpei but saw nothing. Trembling, Junpei wrapped his arm around her back. She was cold. Very cold. Junpei tried to convince himself that it was only his imagination, but she felt as though she were fading away. He could feel his heart pounding frantically in his chest.
Oh man. Connie, what the hell happened to you? You feel...
Jumpy, I'm sorry.
Her voice was very faint.
I might not make it.
No way I am going to let you die. I am going to save you, I promise.
Thank you, Jumpy. Thank you so much for everything. I was really happy to see you again. Jumpy, really happy.
Oh, don't give me that I was crap. You're gonna see me again lots more times. You just gotta hang on. All right, Connie?
Jumpy, did you know you meant a lot?
We already listened to this
when
whole
we were
monologue
kids.
the first time she died.
I've liked you for a long time, Junpei.
Junpei's vision had gone blurry. It took him a moment to realize his eyes were filled with tears. He could feel a piercing point of heat deep in his heart, like a white-hot flame. He looked down at Akane. There was a crack of static from above his head, and the voice spoke.
0. You son of a bitch! Where are you hiding?
Junpei frantically scanned the ceiling for the source of the voice.
What the hell are you talking about? No, it hasn't. I'm not gonna let it end yet. I'm gonna get out of here with Connie. Why? Because you chose the wrong path. The wrong path? Your path is correct. Admit defeat. Where there is shadow, there is light. Where there is the absence of light, there is no shadow. So it is. What are you talking about? The loser has been decided. I told you! I am not gonna lose! No, you misunderstand. You have lost. I have lost. What?
Junpei didn't have time to ponder what that meant before he heard the door slam shut behind him. He spun around. There was no one there. Was it 0?
Connie, wait here. I'll be right back, I promise.
managed a single knot. Junpei later backed it down gently and leapt for the door. He yanked it up and shot outside. No one. The hall was empty. There was nothing moving anywhere.
Damn it. Where are you? It doesn't matter. I need to get Kane out first.
He didn't want to leave Kanye alone any longer than he had to, so Junpei turned around and headed back to the chapel.
Kane!
She wasn't there. She wasn't anywhere. She'd been lying there on the floor just moments before. And now she was gone.
Oh god. No. No. Where is she? Kane. Kane! Kane! Kane!
His cries filled the heavens themselves. He screamed until his voice gave out. Then he screamed some more. There was nothing. No answer. His voice faded away, and all that remained was cold and fuming silence. That was when he noticed it.
Huh?
A strange smell when it smelled before.
Wait. This is...
Silpero.
Smoke.
9 seconds later, Junpei's mind winked out. The end. Or is it? Alright, so that was... I ended up screaming a lot longer than I thought, but... Seek a door that carries an... Yeah, okay. So now we have the safe ending. We can go ahead and... We're gonna pick it back up all the way here. So we ended up going down the red path throughout. Now that we have the safe ending, we should be able to get the true ending of the game without needing to get any other bad ending, if I'm not mistaken. So we're gonna pick it back up from this node, go down the other path, and then go down this door. I don't think this necessarily matters a lot. And after that, we're definitely going down door 1. And this should lead us, I believe this is the ending that we really want. But yeah, in the meantime, thank you for watching. It's such a thrilling story when all the pieces come together. I just love it, which is why I ended up playing it for maybe longer than I intended to. We'll probably be back with some of this maybe tomorrow afternoon. I'll have to see if I feel like streaming or if I want to kind of have some time for myself to play some things that I want to play. But I expect either one longer stream, well, probably more like two standard length streams until we finish the game. But pretty excited for us to get to the true end. So thank you for watching. As usual, almost always on twitch.tv/gameswithnick. Follow, click the bell, notify when I go live, check the schedule. All the VODs are on youtube.com/gameswithnick. Free to like, subscribe, leave comments. I appreciate you checking in with me, watching my stuff. Thank you for watching, and until next time.